Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's a brand new week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and with Monday, it comes the ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series Monday Night Action Season 5. It's been a pleasure to give you all the action. Tonight, it's race number 10, the Big Dog Showdown by Jax and Archie. Cannot wait for it as we're all here, the action Chicagoland. Again, on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is going to be Zach Hall. Qualifying is almost concluded. Currently, Danny Cochran top of the board with Joshua Kanata, Blake Hoppy, but a lot of eyes on the drivers, points-wise, trying to make the playoffs. Tonight is the second to last race of the regular season. Next week at Richmond will be the last regular season race before we have our 16 drivers that will run for a championship. And Zach, this is it, crunch time. You're either gonna make it or break it. Tonight can be crucial for a lot of drivers.
You're exactly right, Sam. It's gonna be fun. 2 races to go, man. Chicagoland here tonight. And after last season, we had a wild Chicagoland race. I'm excited to see how this one's gonna play out here, but definitely gonna get very, very spicy heading into these final 2 here, with drivers very, very close to that cut line, trying to just squeeze their way into those final 16. Because if you do, you know you can go have a chance to at least fight for that championship, and that's what it's all about here during this season. As the final few drivers here getting some times in, it looks like for the moment Cochran holding on to that lead, Sam.
And Danny Cochran coming off the way that he ran last season here at Chicagoland, got the pole, didn't get the win, caught up with some early troubles, was the 2 machine. But here tonight, looking good. Going to be 0.015 over Joshua Kanata. Both those drivers were fighting back and forth during practice on who could have the top number. But Danny Cochran will hold steady. As the drivers for the ISRC Truck Series are getting done with qualifying, big shout out to our qualifying resorts. Going to be qualifying results going to be Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. Go to Instagram and look up at Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios and go check out their wide selection of full color custom tattoos, prints, paints, stickers, and more at Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. As our qualifying results about to be put up, it's time for us to get ready for 150 laps here tonight at Chicagoland. The sun is setting and taking the top of the board. Danny Cochran in the 2, Joshua Kanata going to be in second place. Blake Hoppy, a driver that could potentially is looking for a solid run, but could be a driver that could get a win and take one of those final spots in the playoffs. 31 needs to have a solid day if he wants to make playoffs. In 4th place, going to be the 11 of John Forbes. Nick Crawford, last season champion, going to be in 5th. Ollie Fonseca sponsoring today's race in 6th. 7th is going to be Justin Campbell. 8th is going to be Ryan Ferraro. 9th is Mason Cassidy. Finishing out our top 10, it's the birthday boy, Cody Reed, taking the 10th place position.
And the next set of 10, the 11th position is going to be the 29 of Logan Brakey. Alongside him in the 53, it's going to be Eric Stamp. 13th is going to go to Christopher Norris, with 14th position being held by the 49 of Ryan Bird. 15th is going to go to the 19 of Tyler Dingler. 16th position going to be the 21 of Kyle Rochelle, who enters tonight 16th in points also, so going to need a great run. The man who's been hot here on a hot streak is going to start back in 17th. That's Mark Whitley. 18th alongside him, it's going to be Trenton Jump, the leader of the points. 19th is going to be GT Rosari, and rounding out the top 20 is Joshua Freed.
21st positions, the 4 of Austin Halsey, Justin Smith in 22nd, Matt Upbrook in 23rd, Tyler Horn in 24th spot, Malik Coates going to be in 25th, Mark Morales Jr. going to be in 26th position, and finished out the 27 drivers here this evening going to be the 7 of Cody Smith. Chicagoland last season had 8 cautions, and 2 of them were the big ones. They were massive collisions that wiped out majority of the field, but it came down to a last lap pass between Noah Steele and Mark Whitley, where Mark Whitley got himself into victory lane. And Zach, here tonight, the pressure is on a little bit more aggressively compared to last season. Last season it was race number 2 of the season. Now this is race number 10 of 11 of the regular season. What do you think the drivers are feeling pressure-wise coming into tonight?
Pressure's definitely ramped up from a second race of the season style here that they would have had before. So the pressure's up. They know what's on the line, and drivers such as like Blake Hoppy, you brought it up, it's a great point. I mean, he's had moments this season that he's shown a lot of speed. If he can go out there and find a win tonight, that's going to really shake up that cut line. And then from there, I mean, we'll just have to see how it plays out, because we know when it gets down to short track racing at Richmond, anything can happen when it comes down to these guys. But one thing I will say, interestingly, We haven't seen Mark Whitley on a hot streak. He did win this race last season, like you brought up there, Sam. He also started this race last season in 17th. So if he does win again, that's going to be a weird little trend there for himself.
We've seen positions get people in the victory lanes multiple times before at other tracks, but tonight it's a special night. Drivers are prepared, a lot of different schemes, as it's the big dog showdown by Jax and Archie. Some drivers are running into schemes with their own cars with dogs on them, and whoever is the highest finisher of a dog painted scheme is going to get some cash on the line. We also have other drivers to talk about on where they're supposed to be placed with the Modecast 5, but that'll be later on because it's green flag out in the air. Who will be the top dog of tonight, as we're going to be seeing the 2 of Danny Cochran as well as the 16 of Joshua Kanata roaring down into turn number 1.
Danny Cochran led 1 lap before here last season after starting on pole. He's going to want to lead more than that as he's fighting off of turn 2. What's Kanata going to give him? The 16th not going to be able to fight alongside, but now going to look to the inside here, heading down to 3. They're going to fight for the lead.
Big shimmy and moves, going to be inside and out, but the 16 gets the better launch on the inside lane. Already all 3 grooves being utilized, and it's Oli Fonseca in that 3rd lane getting a huge shot of momentum, but Joshua Kanata leads lap number 1 for the 16.
Awesome job by Kanata there to jump out to the lead, but Cochran going to be in the outside now, where Kanata was able to get the run off of 2 to pole vault himself to that lead position, but now it's going to be the 2 with the momentum down the back straightaway and having his teammate Ali Fonseca up top to help. This is great work for the 2 in the 24.
And the drivers were saying this is going to be a lot of pack racing. The drivers just cannot get away from one another. 1, the tires, 2, it's the air, and it's Joshua Kanata who's making it work the best with John Forbes on the back bumper. It's a little bit of two-truck tango driving as Kanata gets clear, moves up, and John Forbes now in a position trying to slide up in that lead spot.
Forbes knows he needs to have good runs here, man. He knows what is on the line for himself here in this 11 machine is he's got that 2 trying to pull the side draft, and that's something we're going to see a lot tonight. These drivers utilizing that side draft, just like you said, Sam. They're not able to get away from each other, so you got to utilize the tools that are the best for passing each other when it's this close and tight.
These drivers side by side. John Forbes, Joshua Kanata. Forbes going to lead that lap. This is 16 in a comfortable spot. Also, bumps. Drivers are going to have to be worrying about through 1 and 2. Can you find a smooth spot on the track surface that's not going to get you in trouble? And Danny Cochran risking the middle lane, but instead will follow the 11 on the entry of turn 3.
Going to stick to this bottom lane, and this is the decision making that you got to make is what lane do you want to be in, because right now it's all about getting clean air out on the front of your truck's nose, and Danny Cochran just trying to push that 11 clear so now he can jump to the outside, get the clean air on that nose of that 2 machine, and try to maybe jump back to the lead. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a merry-go-round of drivers just trying to take the lead over and over again, because they know how important at one point it's going to be very, very good to be out front with that clean air when the tires start to really get worn out, and it's going to get tougher and tougher to pass.
They're expecting anywhere from lap 15 to 20 could be a spot where we could see that transition of drivers that save their tires to be staying up front. Tonight's race, as you can see, 150 lap stage break at the end of lap 60. No fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road to work with for tonight's race. And with the stage break being so far out, drivers are notified. They're going to have to pit during this stage, but the aggressive driving is showing that Danny Cochran in the 2 wants to take that lead spot again.
Trying to get right back to that lead once again, like you said there, Sam, and he's fighting. And I mean, it's so tough to get the pass done. If you don't clear him, you get what's happening here to Danny Cochran is the 11. It's going to be on his outside, on his door, just pulling him back. That outside line has so much momentum. The bottom is the preferred groove when you're by yourself, but the passing groove is definitely the defending groove is that top groove. But it's like Cochran almost did a good enough job to clear him, but just couldn't do it enough. His 11 did have that momentum here as we're going to be coming around a complete lap 7. Like you said, Sam, that stage at lap 60, these guys can go about 44 to 45 laps, so the pit strategy could be very interesting.
Very interesting. Who's going to just split this stint in half, or do you push your fuel out as far as you can? Going to be the big questions for these drivers as this run continues on. And as well, drivers got those with the, got a few with the dog scheme. See Oli Fonseca there, but Oli as well having something else on his back bumper that is going to be the MoCast 5. There's 5 drivers that have an opportunity to also grab some extra cash if they find themselves into victory lane, beating Ollie Fonseca, Trenton Jump, Christopher Norris, Blake Hoppy, and that Tyler Dangler. If they find themselves into victory lane, they get some extra cash after being the top 5 finishers after Auto Club.
That's a great thing that this league puts on. It really puts a cool side competition onto each race. As now you get to see Eric Stamp here fighting strong on the outside. Ali Fonseca, Eric Stamp up 6 spots from where he started. He is not saving nothing right now. As farther back, we got some 3 wide action. I believe back there around Kyle Rochelle in the 21 machine around the 10th position, and they are really stacked up back there with driver just falling back through the middle. I think that might be the 34 Ryan Ferraro up top.
Ferraro up top, Logan Brakey was stuck in the middle, and Mason Cassidy on the inside. The 40, 34, and the 17 continue to ramp it side by side as Logan Brakey falls to the clutches of Ryan Bird, which Ryan Bird trying to continue his way forward. Solid season for the 49 machine, as well for the 34 of Ryan Ferraro, one of those drivers that's right around that cut line, cannot afford to have a bad night. 15th in points coming in this evening, and after talks with 34, it was, I want to be up front, I want to be getting some good points, because knowing any of the drivers that are outside of our top that of 16 in points, Blake Hoppy could be one of the bigger threats, as well as Eric Stamp, to win here tonight and take one of those spots from 16th position in points.
They definitely know that's possible. Anybody in this league that hasn't won yet has the chance still, for sure. In these last 2 weeks, we've seen crazier things before here. ISRC, trust us, folks. It can definitely happen. Someone can surprise us. As right now, Ferraro trying to make up that ground that he has lost here, starting to trace off, giving up 4 spots. Like he said, he wanted to be up front, and it's interesting to see some of the different, strategies and utilization of the tires, because we've got guys like Kyle Rochelle, Trenton Jump, especially up 9 positions, our biggest move of the race, up to the 9th position. Then you got guys like Mark Whitley down 9 positions back to 26. Justin Campbell, he fell back to 20. I think he pulled completely to the left and let everybody go. So different mindsets here early in this first stage here, Sam, on what they want to do and how fast they want to go.
Yeah, I'm curious if maybe some of these drivers thinking about being overly aggressive on their fuel-saving runs. Maybe they're just taking a little bit more patient. It's Tyler Dangler on the outside, trying to make his way forward. 15th position currently, but if you're going to get some stage points, you got to be inside of the top 10. 19 really aggressively running the outside wall. There's speed up there, but the tires, on the other hand, how long can they last being all the way up against that wall?
You're exactly right, Sam. You can carry a ton of speed up there, man, but it does utilize those tires, and it really wears them out with that extra mile per hour that you carry up in that top groove. It can work to make passes, but I wouldn't be up there too long, as he looks like he was fighting the rear end of that truck coming off the corner with a little bit of an oversteer moment as he's trying to pass around the outside here of the 98 and Malik Fences. This is for 15th and 16th. Up front, though, I'll tell you this much. We're starting to get a little bit of a storm up there. Danny Cochran, Nick Crawford, Ali Fonseca, John Forbes, all these guys slicing and dicing back and forth, and everybody fighting for that top group, knowing how valuable it is.
I mean, Ali Fonseca, he's having his dogs on the line for tonight's race, after the title of tonight's race being the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie. If you'd like to go check out the amazingly cute golden retrievers, go to CoolPup15 on Instagram to check out Jack and that of Archie. As up front, Danny Cochran, Nick Crawford trying to be the lead drivers, but then 11, John Forbes isn't giving up. Ali Fonseca now getting into the mix. These drivers continue to just dice it back and forth, but it's interesting to see that it seems to be a little bit of teamwork action. You're going to get a driver in that lead spot.
You're exactly right. It's always nice to have someone that will go with you. If you have a driver that's willing to commit with you, it makes everything that much easier just to make passes get done. And drivers that are willing to stick with you when you wouldn't think they would, they'd maybe stick it to your outside. You can take a little bit more risk. And right now, Nick Crawford and John Forbes have done good with Snowy Desert Racing to jump those two of themselves up to this front. And they're trying to get their teammates Cody Reed and also an affiliate as such as Joshua Kanata up in the mix with them.
Yeah, I mean, getting all the help that you can. That pink machine being Cody Reed running his birthday scheme, as he's got the birthday markings on the side saying, "I'm the birthday boy," but caution flag waves, and it's Logan Brakey on the backstretch, spun around for the 29.
Oh, no, this is not what Brakey wants to see. He is right above that cut line, only a few positions and a few points ahead of it. This is not what he wants to see. But just looking at the truck at the moment, I believe it was contact with the 4 Austin Halsey and him. But looking at the left front, that's where it made most of his contact. Not too much damage here, Sam.
No, but also the contact after the fact is where it really hurts him. You're going to see the rear end kick out for Logan, breaking off the exit of the corner. Austin Halsey nowhere to go for the 4. He's going to spin the 29 around, but it's this late contact by the 6 of Justin Smith who comes flying in. That contact is where a lot of the damage really ensued for Logan Breaky, who then gets into the outside wall, does a slight J-turn, and finds himself pointing in the right direction. But those contacts, especially here, Zach, we were seeing it. Everyone clumped up. Pack racing, aerodynamics going to be key. This 29 is going to have to come into pit road and hope and cross his fingers that that aero damage isn't as bad as what it looked right there.
That's going to be a tough break for him, Sam, because the biggest thing is, like you said, is aero. This track so sensitive. You saw how we couldn't get away with each other. It was pretty much back racing all throughout the field. Any type of aero damage that will cause drag on your race car is just going to cause a big issue for you for the rest of the night. But you'll maybe cut some lucky breaks here, get this damage fixed up, and hopefully that truck can be back to at least somewhat close to its full potential. Is got a mixed bag here. It looks like Martin Morales is going to stay out here all by himself, and then maybe Justin Campbell, he's going to follow him along.
Yeah, Justin Campbell did not get the launch that he wanted initially, was being very gentle on his tires from the jump of the start. Qualified up in 7th was the 9 machine, and off the exit of turn 2 on lap 1, dropped all the way to the end of the line, and now is going to be staying out with Martin Morales. I think for Martin, it's just stay out there, get bonus points. Martin's one of those drivers that's outside looking in to our top 16 in points. Currently coming into the night was 19th in points, needing a lot to get back into the fight, and any little bonus point is good to have. But other drivers taking some risky calls under this pit stop. Blake Hoppy looking to be fuel only for the 21. I'm gonna have to check and see, Zach, to see if he actually maybe have taken 2 tires, but I believe it's just fuel only for the 31 machine. So that's gonna be 3 drivers up front on old rubber if Martin does not pull into pit road, and he doesn't, nor does that of Justin Campbell. So here we go, old tires versus new.
What a call there by Hoppy here. This is going to put him in a awkward predicament for sure. And went back and looked at that for us, Sam. No tires, so just fuel for that 31. Electing to save a set here, and I mean, with 5 total sets here tonight, they had 4 in pit road. You know, it's not the most surprising to save a set, but I am saying I'm a little concerned with how quick he may get in trouble here with these guys at different speeds. I mean, luckily he has Morales and Campbell with him, so it's not as bad as just being one truck out there by yourself that's on old tires. But it's going to be tough to hold back all these drivers on fresh tires who we know are willing to go out there and risk it. And right here with the way this caution played out, they've now got enough fuel to make it to the end of the stage.
That they do. Other drivers also going to be taking the risk and the gamble of just fuel only. Matt Upbrook in the 15 back in 17th position, and Mark Whitley back in 20th position. Fuel only for them, joining with Blake Hoppy to decide to just take fuel. But the front 2 not coming into pit road at all. Riskier call than anyone else, because if this run goes green to the end of the stage, I believe they're still going to be about 4 laps shy for making it to the end. So very gutsy call, but let's see if it's going to work out. Top 3 drivers going to be on old tires. The rest just got freshies as we're back to green flag action for the big dog showdown by Jack and Archie. Martin Morales is going to be taking the lead spot, but it's going to be everyone top side. Nick Crawford, fresh rubber to the inside, and already showing why the fresh rubber's nice to have.
This is going to be a quick moment here for these guys on the old tires. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they hold their own right now as they are dropping back through the field like rocks here, as it's going to get very, very wild here and very tight from really 5th on back.
And Blake Hoppy able to escape his way through. Martin Morales stuck to the outer groove. The 9 of Justin Campbell, though, talk about how he was kind of looking very conservative, not pushing the tires as aggressively as everyone else. I think that's allowing him to stay in this top spot, still inside of our top 5, but soon to be swamped as the rest of the field up to speed side by side and picking the lanes where they're going to feel most comfortable.
This is super impressive here from Justin Campbell, who, like you said, I think, Sam, he saved his stuff so much that he's able to fire off pretty well here. I do think here after 4 or 5 laps, when those tires do get back up to full temperature, he's going to start to struggle a little bit compared to these guys, but definitely doing much better than the other 2 on the old tires that were around him.
And drivers staying high, trying to get out of the way the best that they can. And it's Nick Crawford, John Forbes, Joshua Kanata, Christopher Norris. 4 drivers in line that almost all were on the same team. Like I said, Joshua Kanata affiliated with the Snowy Desert Racing team. Ollie Fonseca bounced the outside groove, and it's all 5 Snowy Desert quote-unquote teammates that are in line. It's the 24 that's the only one cutting them all off.
What a good job here by this team to get in position like this. It's going to be tough to really root them out of the way, as you would say, because you know that they're going to work well together. They're going to be communicating. They're going to be looking to do everything they can to keep this track position together, especially before this stage comes to an end. But Fonseca and Cochran, you know they're not going to be willing just to sit here. We're going to have a show for us here as these teammates look to defend the rest of this field behind them.
And the teammates really cluster around one another. You also can see the drivers in blue behind. Eric Stamp, Trent Jump there trying to move forward, all inside of the top 5, top 10 currently. And everyone that's inside of our top 11 still pretty clustered up in this lead pack, all within a second is our top 10. What a grouping Pack Racing Chicagoland can give the progressive banking. I want these drivers to be almost full throttle all the way around. 3 different lanes being utilized, and Nick Crawford outside lane trying to get a massive run with Joshua Kanata, and they're just having some fun up front.
And they are. I tell you what, they're going to still race for this lead up here because they know you can't just stack up behind one another. If you do, it's going to cause checkups. Somebody's going to get ran over, and it's going to be a wreck. So you need to spread on the racetrack and actually try to go forward because it's just going to create more mayhem around you if you just check up each other. As right now, Fonseca trying to be the little bit of the mixer up here of this group. Is right now he's got to add a Norris and Reed. But right now having a little trouble with Forbes, who's still trying to go forward on the bottom.
And John Forbes has been lingering in 3rd all race long so far. Christopher Norris giving some bumps, and really it's the grouping of drivers that's 6th on back to 11th that's giving me a scare, as they're going to go 3 wide at the tail end of this pack. As a big shimmy and shake, Eric Stamp forced him to almost go 4 wide for a quick second. The 53 looking concerned at this moment, as he's going to have to just stay low. So it is the Armadillo Sandwich. Kyle Rochelle stuck in the middle, and Rochelle, another one of those drivers that needs a solid day, 16th in points here tonight coming into this race. But if we see any of those drivers outside, like Eric Stamp, Blake Hoppy, getting into victory lane, 16 can be the one that gets bounced out of the playoffs.
It can easily just get taken away from you that fast, as they all know how the system works. And right now, it is getting very interesting, Sam, because they're all fighting for the top group. Everybody's trying to line up there. They know how valuable it is up there. And look at this. I mean, we're almost having a super speedway style race where it's gone to the top groove. And the drivers on the bottom, look how much they're suffering. Christopher Norris, Trent Jump, they're just every now and then just losing a row of trucks on their outside, just get farther and farther ahead, as that bottom groove just doesn't have the help right now.
And that one time on the front stretch was getting me very nervous. Drivers are going to be seeing the apron being utilized more and more, and the assumption that you're going to use the apron is going to be causing drivers to get a little bit more aggressive. It's right on board 46 Trent Jump, dives it down low, forcing Christopher Norris to slot to the outside lane, and they are scattered 3 wide behind this group. They almost make collisions. In fact, that apron call, drivers are going to be assuming if you're going to go down the apron, which is what were the complications that brought out a lot of big wrecks last season here.
It is so easy to do, Sam. You go to that apron trying to cut the racetrack. The driver doesn't expect it below you. He makes a different move, and you come together. His contact is now Fonseca. He's going to jump out here and try to get up alongside Forbes. And what these guys are trying to do is they're trying to drift up alongside him, side draft him, then hopefully the next corner make a big enough hole in front of them to where they can just pull a slide job maneuvers. Look, that's what Fonseca's trying to do in his contact.
Up into Christopher Norris, able to hold steady. They keep it off the wall, but a big scare between the 11, the 24, and the 38. Aggressive side drafting off the exit of the corner, able to keep it straight like we said. But these are drivers that all have been racing around one another for multiple seasons. They know each other's tendencies, but they also know the aggression level this season has been higher than any other season in the past. As well, seeing Christopher Norris and Danny Cochran have had a lot of mix-ups with one another. Ollie Fonseca's aggression has been trying to build up so he can get back into victory lane with only 1 win so far under the name of the 24. He wants another W in the history books.
He definitely wants that for sure. And He wants to get clear of this 11 so he can slide up in behind Kanata. I haven't seen him. He's gotten close a few times and almost thought about closing the door last second. As I think off of 4 here, he's gonna have the
Trouble
opening. And,
behind. It's the 46 Trent jump off the nose and gonna be spun around. And then another Armadillo Motorsports driver spun and have to do a J turn to get straight.
That was a smooth J turn. That'll work to get him back around, but wow, that happened in a blink of an eye. And at some point, we felt like something had to happen there. Sam push came to shove, and I think they got 3 wide. Some people got loose. I think jump in the middle got loose there, and unfortunately, Kyle Rochelle was there. And it's just what happens when you're this style of racing for this long. You're cooped up together. Somebody's going to make a mistake sooner or later that leads to some type of carnage.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're not giving each other that much room to work with. And for Kyle Rochelle and Trenton Jump, they'd been practically driving on top of one another for the last couple of laps. And just a simple little wiggle by the 46 got clipped off the nose, as we'll get the replay here. And it's one of those simple mistakes of drivers just clipping, spinning out. And luckily, somehow, no one else was involved. What it could have been a much bigger wreck than it actually was. It's going to hurt Trenton Jump on bonus points because of the fact that we're past the halfway marker of this stage. Stage break going to be at the end of lap 60, but the aggressive drive in the middle of the pack, every position was quad, wanting to make sure they were in those top 10 spots, where this wreck came around and happened, where Trenton Jump and that 21 made collision.
It's just a simple thing that happens when you're racing sometimes. It's really just drivers are trying to hold on to these trucks, preferably not even the preferred lane they'd be in, but they know they have to put them in positions that sometimes are not going to work. Because you're going to see here, it's Trenton Jumper right here in the middle. You got Kyle Rochelle up top. Look how close they already are. That's some aerodynamics definitely playing out there between those two. You got Cody Reed on the bottom, and Jump here is just going to step out a little bit loose right here, and he's going to try to catch the truck. And Rochelle is there, and when it catches that right rear, it's going to shove Rochelle down the racetrack. I think he had to check up maybe and got hit by Ferraro behind. It's just an accordion effect at that point, and Trenton Jump goes around into the outside wall of that inside door, but gets it spun around pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, for Ryan Ferraro, I think he had the biggest scare of that situation. Thought he was going to have to T-bone into Trenton Jump, have to, and then once he was clear of all traffic, does a little spin, and away the 46 goes. And for Trenton Jump, he'll be restarting all the way back in the tail end of the field in 27th position. Got a little bit of damage repaired for himself. A couple of other drivers deeper in the field also using their set of tires. Logan Brakey, Justin Campbell, Martin Morales, Mark Whitley, Matt Upbrook. Going to be part of the group that saved the set of tires and now will be able to use their set and having the major advantage. Zach, that's what they were banking on, was a caution. They got it, and now expect a grouping of 5 to really climb through this field.
This right here is changed the game plan for sure for those drivers. They were sitting there saying, well, we saved that set. Will we get to even use that set later in this race? Well, now it's their chance, and they have plenty of time to do it too before the stage break hits the end. I like this strategy. I think you're going to see a lot of these guys who just hit pit road be super aggressive here through the field.
And I'm also curious on what the tire wear is going to look like, because it seemed like that last run was a lot more aggressive. Drivers were willing to use their tires a lot more than the first initial start of the race. So those drivers that just got to come into pit road, expect them to fly through the field even faster than what we saw before, as the big dog Showdown by Jack and Archie is back to green flag action, and it's going to be Nick Crawford leading the way in the green machine.
Nick Crawford with a great start out front, but it's going to be Fonseca, the one that's trying to separate these teammates here. He's been the one that's really been fighting the most in this group, and now going to be looking, instead of just going to the outside here, I think he might even try to get to the quarter panel on Nick Crawford. It does a great job there.
Waits for the switchback, able to find the opening. Now it's going to be side by side between the 74 and then the 24, as they're going to be finding themselves exiting the corner, trying to stay to the outside quarter panel is Ollie Fonseca. He'll be at the quarter panel as the rest of the field dashing down to the apron. Others staying on the racing course as they just got to squeeze back up, and it's side by side for the lead position right now. Drivers further on back to watch out for Logan Brakey, Justin Campbell back in 17th, 18th position. They are slowly chipping away as our leaders continue to stay side by side.
Almost contact down the back straightaway there. And this back straightaway, not the most straight of a straightaway, as you could say. It has actually got a little curve in it. Sometimes can make contact as Fonseca goes way up the racetrack there in 3 and 4. That stacked him up as now Kanata thought about jumping to the outside quarter panel, but just got to think better of it. As now Christopher Norris a little bit loose off the apron there, having to hold the bottom with John Forbes right behind him.
Teammates in line, that 38, the 11, the 25, trying to work as one on the inside groove, but the outside lane having more drivers really in line working as one. And it's going to be seen Danny Cochran, Joshua Kanata, the drivers with a hint of purple and the one that's fully purpled out, trying to go to the outside lane, and Kanata forcing it 3 wide, almost able to back out was the 16. That could have been bad off the exit of 4.
That could have been our next wreck right there. As now it's Norris closing the door on Fonseca up top. And right there, Kanata, he's going to look up to the top 3rd lane. Maybe not going to get there, though. On exit, going to just have to slide behind Fonseca. But I tell you what, this group here are getting 3 wide. They're about to get even more wild because guess what? That group with the brand new tires led by Justin Campbell is on the way with Mark Whitley and Logan Brake.
And Mark Whitley, we've seen him be aggressive at times, trying to make some big moves, but it's Justin Campbell, like you said, leading the way in the 9 on the inside, right on the back bumper of Cody Reed. That pink machine is kind of the marker spot. You see the 9 right behind them. They're 3 wide in the middle of this pack, but it's the tires that are going to be the advantage moving forward. We're stacked 3 wide, 2 rows deep, almost 3 rows deep, as the aggression level is just mounted to a spot you don't see very often here at Chicagoland, but it's Justin Campbell ripping the bottom and just having no one that can defend him. They're 4 wide, back for that 10th position.
Oh no, this can't work for too long. We're 3 wide in about 5 different spots and 4 wide in another. It's just showing you when you mix up the strategy bag with tires, you got everybody looking for any little hole in the racetrack as they're completely all over the Chicagoland Speedway.
And Mark Whitley really got a major scare. He had to fall back in line because Mark Morales gave him a scare. The 1, the 29. You can see the drivers who've got the fresh rubber. They're just splitting every group possible. And Kyle Rochelle in the funnel of fresher rubber. He's going to fall back, almost collision behind them between the 14 before the lead. Just out of Christopher Norris trying to hold back the 9 machine of Justin Campbell, but Campbell will not be denied. The 9 protected the tires, banked on the yellow, it came out, and now Campbell to the point, side by side, entering 3, and that's the lead pass that he needed to have.
9 positions better than anybody else with those fresh tires. Justin Campbell just did an excellent job, and he did it all on the bottom. I think the other drivers got too caught up in getting stuck in the top group behind other drivers, and Campbell just went where they weren't. He said, you know what, y'all are on the bottom. I'm just going to go all the way down there on the apron, and I'm going to find my way around. Is now Fonseca in the middle of those new tires.
Fonseca's falling back right for row. There again, a stacked 4 wide. As an inside pack, Mark Morales does not care that it's Mark Whitley behind him, the most Waynish driver in the 77. This one, I don't know where this aggression popped up from, but we're back to a 1.5 mile track, and Martin feels like this could be a chance for a fantastic run for himself, as he's hoping to keep that 77 at bay behind.
He's had excellent runs this season. Thinking back, was 1 lap away from a win on an intermediate track also this season, and just all came down to a little bit of a bad block from him, and it went wrong. But right now, I'm telling you what, Morales, he knows it's game time for him. This is perfect with these fresh tires. He knows Mark Whitley's right here with him. This is a battle, maybe even possibly for a stage win if they can run down Campbell up front, who's just trying to drive well.
I mean, Campbell at this point is now almost a full 1.5 seconds ahead of this group that we see on screen. Mark Whitley going to be the 2nd driver on the freshest of rubber, but they have stalled out. Yes, they're moving forward, but not as quickly as they would be hoping, and they're continuing to lose time, even with these fresher tires compared to Justin Campbell, that is now in clean air, pulling away, and no worries in the eyes of the 9 machine.
Now Mark Whitley, he's seen the way. He's going just straight through the bottom all the way around these drivers. Is now one final driver for the 77 to get by, to get that track position with the fresh tires, and now just going to be able to chase down Campbell. But Christopher Norris doing a great job on the old tires. He's able to hold that lead position of the older tires there as they're starting to get these newer tires right in the mix. It gets tough, and you can definitely get some separation on the drivers on the same strategy as you if you just do a good job like this 38 has.
38 maybe was thinking about a block, decided otherwise, as Mark Whitley as well as Christopher Norris had the epic battle to finish out last week at Bristol before 77 got himself in a victory lane. And now we watch, can Mark Whitley, as he's almost a half a second away, run down Justin Campbell? Or has Campbell just been waiting in the wings, waiting for the 77 to close in and finally use up those tires?
That would have been very, very smart for him. As farther back, Martin Morales, he's had trouble and he's lost a ton of spots as he came off of 2. So it looks like he lost a good head of steam there with the Mark Whitley and Justin Campbell is now. He's just going to have to try to get back by Cochran and all these other drivers around him as Logan Brakey now will be the 3rd driver on the fresh tires along with Matt Upbrook back in 8th.
I mean, we talked about the almost win at Las Vegas, and again tonight can be called an almost high stage points victory for the one machine, who now falls to 10th place instead of gaining maybe 5, 10, maybe 5 to 6 stage bonus points. Now he's just aiming maybe to get 1 to 3 by each pass he gets. It's an extra bonus point on the name of the one. But look at that, Matt Upbrook, Logan Brakey, they continue to fight their way forward with their fresh rubber. And the gap between first and second, it is stalled out half a second as we now have 12 laps to go before stage break.
A mere 12 laps here for these drivers. They know what the points are on the line. Logan Brakey wants every single point he can get. He at one point was involved in a wreck. If he can get a 3rd place in this stage, this would be a victory for this 29 team. Is now trying to clear the 38 and the 11 with the help of the 15 who's on those fresh tires along with them. I think it's going to be a battle though for that 29 once he gets clear here, because this 15 is looking pretty sporty.
Looking stout is the 15 machine as the teammates in line, just trying to minimize the amount of time that's being lost. Logan Brakey moving fit forward. Matt Upbrook looking good for themselves as 10, making 11, laps to go here before the stage is done. At the end of lap 60, top 10 drivers get bonus points. You win the stage, you get 10 bonus points. Second, you get 9. Third gets 8 bonus points. Continues to dwindle down till a 10th place position where you only get 1 bonus point. And every point is so crucial in the last couple of seasons to even make the playoffs. It's come down to just 3 points or even a tie to make it in. So you gotta make sure you're grabbing every single point possible. And this is where that 10th, where the 11th place is battling. Kyle Rochelle, GT Rosari. This wall of drivers are not catching up to Danny Cochran, and the bonus points are falling through their fingers now.
They definitely are. And I mean, looking at the 21, the 34 there, both drivers who are wanting stage points. They know how valuable they would be. And right now, they're just not, they're losing time, like you said, to that group ahead of them. And this is not looking good for their case to get stage points to help out their cause heading into Richmond.
Absolutely not. And, you know, some drivers so deep into this grouping, I'm getting concerned for them. Aldi Fonseca, Cody Reed, they are mired all the way back, as well as Garrick Stamp, 18th, 19th, and 20th for that group. At one moment, they were all battling to be inside the top 5.
It's crazy to see how it's worked out, because the separation for some of these drivers who've on old tires have been able to hold on, such as Christopher Norris, John Forbes, Joshua Kanata, Danny Cochran, Nick Crawford. Some of these drivers have been able to hold on pretty well in the older tires, while others have just really gotten used up by the older tires and just pushed way farther back into the group than they were probably expecting. And it shows you used a little bit too much tire maybe, you're going to be struggling. Once drivers who get much fresher tires than you start to pass you, you start struggling.
Well, now this is the battle for who's going to win the stage. As you look at the numbers, Justin Campbell as well as Mark Whitley on the advancement. Who is going to be moving forward and winning the stage break? Because for Mark Whitley, he has been fighting to get this position the best that he can. But 77, talked about, he won last season, started in 17th here tonight, started in 17th. He only led 19 laps last season before going to victory lane. And maybe he just needs to be in the right position, the right time here tonight. And the yellow flag lined up perfectly for both this 9 and 77. And as they come across the line, 6 more laps to go before the stage is done.
Pretty much matching lap times between these two. It'll be 1 lap. It'll be a couple hundredths to Campbell's name. Then it'll be a couple hundredths to Whitley's name the next few laps. As these two are just having a tough time right now for that 77 to follow in that air. And it is one thing that is very, very tough. You catch somebody who, especially Campbell, I feel like he did such a good job of getting out front early that he was able to probably just save a little tire out there in that clean air and really make his truck work, where Whitley really had to use it up in the middle portion of that run, then run him back down. And that last time by was a little bit quick for Mark Lilly, but he's going to have to start finding more than that if he wants to get this done, because the pass is what's going to be very difficult.
Try to make the pass as cleanly as they can. This is the battling going on for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th position. And John Forbes, that outside wall, has been sneaking up to the 11 machine ever so slightly. But the top two drivers in 6th and 7th, Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran, these two have had quite a bickering throughout this season. A couple of moments of big wrecks between the two. And once again, keeping it close, and the aggression level, no surprise, they continue to keep it as high as they can.
And again, the 38 jumps out to the outside. The 74 is trying to make the pass on Kanata, and the 11. This group here is pretty much the leaders of the older set of tires. And I mean, you would see this is what we would have probably been seeing for that stage victory if we stayed green there for those fresh tires for this group. They might have lost out a little bit, not losing out too much though, only just going to be outside the top 5, but you can see how great the battling is between this group here as they've got these old tires really worn out, and it makes it tough to pass, but it makes the racing really, really good.
Yeah, it certainly does. Enjoyable to see this group battling around one another as it's 3 more laps to go before the stage is done, and Mark Whitley has closed the gap now down to just 2/10. A bad exit at a turn 2 for the 77, but it's been 3 and 4 where Mark Whitley has been much faster in trying to get that stage win.
It's so tough to follow, and especially down in 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Sometimes you can change up the line, and if you can get to that bottom, you usually can get some air on that nose. But Whitley doing a great job here, opening up the entry here to 1 and 2, and going to run a little bit higher groove, going to try to get the run off the corner. Let's see what this amounts to down the back straightaway, because next time by, it's going to be the last lap for the stage, and Whitley's going to have to find a good bit here if he wants this win.
Trying to get the stage win as the 77. I just think the tires are inking out a little bit too far from trying to have enough grip to make it to the end and make this pass for himself. But luckily the stage brake's going to be there. A lot of knowledge on saving tires on that first stint, being aggressive on this second. But there's going to be one more opportunity to maximize on the stage bonus points and go for that regular season championship. The 9 slipping and sliding. There's the mistake in the opening. They're going to be blocking on the backstretch. Mark Whitley trying to become the stage winner. Justin Campbell debut in the ISRC Truck Series last week. Caught up in a lot of messes, but Mark is drifting through 3 and 4, and the 9 will hold off and get the stage win. Mark Whitley and Campbell put on a show for the stage win for themselves, but as they come across the line, top 10 drivers cross it, and Kanata will take that final bonus point.
It was close for his final few points right there, but what a battle from that top 2 there with the fresh tires. And I tell you what, Whitley got really, really close. He did a great job through 3 and 4 there to get a big run coming down the front straightaway. Got close entering 1, and I think he kind of caught Campbell off with how far he drove it into turn 1 and got right to the back bumper, and both of them loose off the corner. I think if Whitley doesn't, he had the run but had to lift for Campbell, who was getting ahead of him, which kind of caused Whitley even to get loose. So it was definitely some close race there between the two, but that was awesome to see, and definitely bodes well for later in the race for us.
It certainly does. Makes them excited on what the speed is going to look like, and now we're expecting the whole entire field reset. Take your set of tires, take your fuel, and get ready for the rest of the race as your stage positions. Going to be the 9 of Justin Campbell. Second place goes to Mark Whitley. Matt Upbrook gets 3rd. 4th goes to Logan Breakey. Mark Morales Jr. gets 5th. Danny Cochran 6th. 7th, John Forbes. Christopher Norris 8th. 9th, Nick Crawford. And taking that final bonus point is Joshua Kanata in the 16 machine. As drivers aim to hit pit road. I mean, Zach, that certainly was an entertaining split to watch. 2 cautions, our 3rd being the stage break. And now, can the drivers that got the track position after the stage is done, can they hold on to the track position as everyone hits pit road?
That's going to be the big question. We saw both the drivers up front give up tons of positions at the beginning of the first run of this race to save their tires. We'll see. I think that's going to be a change of mentality for them here as they enter their boxes and look to get their 4 fresh tires as the night really starts to set in now as the lights are at full blast, and we'll see maybe this track change a little bit for its grip level also.
As Danny Cochran and others enter their box, 4 tires and fuel, and away they go. And taking the top spot off the exit of pit road, Justin Campbell, Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran. And side by side, it's going to be Matt Upbrook beating out Logan Breakey for themselves. And as the field is getting set and ready to go back to green flag racing, let's see if we queue up our stage winner, being the Team Watson Setups RacingTeam.com, and see if we can clock in our winner of the stage. Number 9, Justin Campbell. It's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You got us? Let's try that one more time. Justin, it's Sam and Zach up at the Freaky Fast broadcasting booth. You got us? Well, believe that we might be missing on Justin to try to queue up that 9 machine, but he will be our Team Watson Racing Setups winner here for the stage, the 9, hoping to get himself into victory lane. I mean, Zach, debut driver, part of the racing development team of Real Life Rev Racing. I know it's always fun when you get to get real life drivers joining the leagues, and it's a pleasure to have the 9 machine and becoming the stage winner here at the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie.
Yeah, it's awesome to have, a driver such as Justin Campbell come into the series. And yeah, Rev Racing, definitely a historical team that has brought through some great drivers. I mean, you look at Nick Sanchez in the Craftsman Truck Series currently, who's doing an excellent job, just came from Rev Racing. Also Kyle Larson, looking back all the way to when he was in ARCA. So it's definitely a good group to come from there, and always fun to see drivers taking it from the real life surface to the sim and seeing how it compares and seeing how well they can take their skills from one to the other.
And we can thank you to Ollie Fonseca for getting Justin Campbell involved with the ISRC Truck Series, as getting to see the competition raise. It's been awesome to watch these first 60 laps. Stages are done. It's all about who's going to get into victory lane. As the drivers up front can be Justin Campbell, Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, Matt Upbrook, Logan Brakey, John Forbes, Nick Crawford, Martin Morales, Christopher Norris, and Joshua Kanata, your top 10. Pace car is off into the restart zone. The Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie is back underway. Who will be the top dog tonight? Well, Justin Campbell hoping to continue on his charge up front and get that crown.
Great restart out front for the 9. Now all over the back bumper is our pole setter of Danny Cochran. He wants that lead back. He saw how well the clean airs worked. He battled in that group right there at the end of the stage. He wants the track position back that they didn't have.
The drivers that were on that different positioning on tires, that for Danny Cochran, good to be back on equal footing. How will we see the 9 and the 77 work up front? Track position for qualifying for Mark Whitley has been a struggle these last couple of races. But the 77 going to be up high, but caution as drivers are wrecking on the entry of turn 1, and it's a decently big one. Trent Jump involved with this one. Eric Stamp trying to get out of the way, and Blake Hoppy also involved with this. It's the drivers on the entry of turn 1, just simple mistakes, collecting multiple drivers.
Yeah, that's exactly how this one played out here. Sam is almost pretty much 4 wide action heading off in the 1. I think it was Ryan Ferraro, Ollie Fonseca, Martin Morales, and Trenton Jump all side by side heading down into 1. And sometimes when you feel like it's almost 4 wide like that, I think the car right there, that third car in the middle there, Fonseca, he felt like maybe he needed to come at the racetrack a little bit. And unfortunately, Morales is there, and he has a car getting to his outside very late exit of Trenton Jump. So I think it got 3 wide. In the late call there for the 24, probably caught him off guard, and he washed out to the wall. And that's what kind of caused that one.
That was take from a different angle. You see the 1 and the 24 just closing in. It narrows up on the entry of these corners. And when you're the middle drivers, usually that's where the contact's going to be made. Trenton Jump gets set down low, but Ollie Fonseca, I mean, he got sent back there after the tire wear in the end of the stage was coming out, as you see Tyler Horn and Jump continue to spin out. But I mean, Ollie placed deep in the field, had to try to recover moving forward, and now this could be the end of the night for the 24 in the way that he was hoping that tonight could have been a lot better, having the Golden Retrievers sponsoring today's race. But going to be able to stay on the lead lap is Ollie Fonseca, as Trent Jump and others coming into pit road now.
Very, very tough for Ollie. He was having a great run, and they just all went sideways with that strategy there in the middle part of that stage, and got himself back there. And I mean, that was just very much a racing incident. Trenton Jump getting very late to the outside of the 1. The 1 probably reacting to that. Maybe comes down the racetrack a little bit. The 24 not expecting the 1 to be, with a truck to his outside. He's coming up the racetrack. It's just one of those things that happens so fast in racing that caught a few people off guard. And unfortunately for Fonseca, he was the one that really took the brunt of it with that head-on collision with the nose. And he'll see if he can get that worked on somewhat. Luckily for his sake right now, he's only 1 lap down, and he's the only driver 1 lap down. So he might look to be able to get that lap back here at some point. He's just gonna have to hope that he stays that lucky Doug spot.
Gonna for it. Danny Cochran able to take the lead right before that yellow flag came out. The two gonna be the control driver for this next restart. I mean, Zach, Danny Cochran, look at Chicagoland and the history of the ISRC being here. They ran back in season 2 where Danny was able to get himself into victory lane, almost leading the most laps and going to victory lane was this 2 machine. And then season 4 got the pole, was looking mighty fast in the beginning of the race, but then caught up in the big one. It kind of was the catalyst of his bad luck string from season 4 into season 5 before he got his win at Sonoma. And now the two right back to where his strengths were at this 1.5 miles.
It is interesting to say that it kind of was a catalyst. I mean, you think about it, it all kind of went very wrong for him after that Chicagoland race being the second race of the season last season. So he's definitely trying to come back from that. Had the great dominant performance in Sonoma. I mean, we didn't even see the guy for 95% of the broadcast because he was just out in a different zip code by himself. And tonight, if he can go win on the oval, that would, I think, give him a huge amount of confidence, because winning on a road course is awesome and it's amazing to have, but you want to go get that oval win because you know how tough it is. That's where everybody's at their best, and this is where people really are trying to make their talent show through. So we'll see what Cochran can do here. He fought hard to get back to this lead position, but I want to see how Campbell and Whitley race. They seem to be a little less aggressive here, trying to maybe save their stuff for longer in the run.
I think after what we saw from the likes of Ollie Fonseca, Cody Reed falling back, saving your tires could be very crucial to make sure you stay in the fight. Pace car is off into the restart zone, and we're back to green flag action. Danny Cochran, Justin Campbell, Mark Whitley taking off as Danny's used to trying to hold off the 77 in his rearview mirror. Can he hold back the 9 as well as they exit at turn number 2?
See who has the best run off the exit of 2 here. It's going to be the 9 machine who's going to get the draft from that 2, and that's going to really help him. As now it's going to be 11 of John Forbes trying to jump to the outside of Mark Whitley, who's stuck on the bottom currently. But he's going to have the help of Nick Crawford, who's going to jump up top now. And it just shows you, everybody, once we've seen that before, you fight, you just get up to that top groove and try to hold on to your track position.
Get up front, stay up front, get that clean air. It's going to help you stay in that lead position as Danny Cochran leading the way. Campbell trying to hold off John Forbes, but it's side by side for 4th place. Nick Crawford, Mark Whitley, and John Forbes diving it all the way down to practically the apron to get underneath the 9, as we'll be side by side for 2nd place.
He was taking it all the way down to that apron, and right here going to fight strong through 3 and 4, and got a good run off of 4, but that outside groove going to have the draft from the 2. That's going to help the 9 here, but the 11 with the good side draft heading down into 1. We'll see can he fight here strong, but this is the tough corner to fight on the bottom. That outside groove works so well up top with 1 and 2 being just a longer radius corner.
And John Forbes trying to set up how to get by Justin Campbell, and for the 11, he was running around Ollie Fonseca, getting to see those very aggressive moves to cut his way through the field. And now the 11 trying to continue forward. A very close pass for 2nd place as the 11 almost lost it on the front bumper of the 9.
So close. Everybody here not willing to back off because they know they lift just for a split second. They will be gobbled up by the driver behind them, who will just be looking to take advantage of anything. It's just so hard to pass once you get going here. And right now drivers are fighting for it as Whitley, again, showing that he wants to go a little bit slower here and maybe save a little bit of his equipment for later in the run.
And going to be helping as well, that of Logan Brakey, Matt Upbrook holding back the likes of Malik Coons, Joshua Kanata, Mason Cassidy trying to get into the fight. Speaking of fight, for the lead is underway. John Forbes, Danny Cochran going to be side by side for the lead position as the 11 trying to make the move all on his own. His teammates, sadly though, were too many vehicles back to try to give that draft help.
Wasting no time as this 11 machine dive into the inside of this 2 here and trying to take a dominant stranglehold of this lead, and will clear him. But it's going to be the 2 who just gets to the quarter panel lane exit and is able to side draft them because they're going to be almost dead even here heading down into 1. And this is where you want to be in the preferred position of being on that outside groove, as Cochran's going to put it right on the door and make it tough for the 11.
Gassing it up early is Danny Cochran, which allows him to carry the more momentum and speed. But John Forbes had the cleaner exit for the 11 machine, keeping it side by side as a drag race into turn 3. Dive bombing it down in the entry of the 11 of John Forbes. Clear, moves up, and crossover move by Danny Cochran.
Crossover from Cochran. He's going to take it all the way down almost to the grass here, as he's going to be roles reversed here between these two, heading down into 1 and 2. 4's going to give a little bit more room than the 2 did, but maybe going to set up for a little bit better of an exit off the corners. They're going to keep it side by side with the 2, trying to get away. You can see he's driving away left on the track, trying to get away from that left front fender of that 11, who's trying to side draft and pull him back.
Ring the bell. It's another round between these two. John Forbes, Danny Cochran, and Cochran will be able to hold steady and have that pass completed, as John Forbes didn't have the space for the crossover move. He'll have to line up for another pass later on. And as these two drivers continue to duel back and forth, we passed the halfway marker. And Zach, with the drivers and the timing of when they came into pit road, still expecting at least one more pit stop here tonight, maybe even 2. And the field's got to be thinking, the aggressive driving up front, who's in the better position? Those that have been saving their tires, or those that are being willing to get aggressive? Because it's been the latter that's been on the better spot moving forward. As trouble strikes, JT Rizari, Malik Coates hard to the outside wall, and more drivers piling in on the front stretch.
Huge damage for Irizarry. No front clip on the front of that truck, and I think he might have got collected a little bit by Joshua Freed in that 39 machine, who might have hit him with the nose. And it all started, I think, around Kuntz and that 14 in Irizarry. They were right in the middle of the tri-oval. Is again, it just strikes where drivers, coming together right there at the apron. This is, I think, when we get to see this one here, is a classic example of what we were talking about earlier, with some drivers thinking drivers are going to go to the apron and they don't, and they come to contact.
The assumption level is always so high when you have tracks where you can dive down low and go to the inside, but check out in the middle lanes, that gray 14, the black of the 6 of the 98 of Malik Kuntz. Contact there, and then another blast of Joshua Freed into GT Rizari, and luckily only 3 drivers involved, but massive collisions of all 3.
It was a huge collision. I mean, all 3 of them are going to take major damage out of it. I mean, all 3 of them are going to take the required damage flag. That's the worst case scenario for all of them. Even Cody Smith in the 7, he's going to have it also. But you can see her, just look how hard it was. Malik Kuntz immediately broke the right front suspension. GT at this point, mostly just right front fender, nose damage there. But it's going to be this hit coming in here, just a split second, the 39 with that hit. And look, completely rips the front nose off, rips the right front fender off the 39. And you can see that new damage model of this truck in full effect.
You get to see the explosions, you get to see the sparks, and like that, another wreck in the books as split decisions, who's coming into pit road and who's not. Danny Cochran and John Forbes stay out, but led by Joshua Kanata as well as Justin Campbell into pit road to get 4 tires and fuel. And for Malik Kuntz, Zach, this is a troublesome position for the 98 machine, because he finds himself all the way back in that of 13th in points. But if he continues to lose points and has another run like this going into next week, he's going to be very close to that 20th in points position, where if you find yourself there, your win is nullified and you could be missing out on the playoffs.
You're exactly right about that, Sam. It could get very, very close, actually, if he has 2 terrible races here. I mean, didn't, I believe, tonight get stage points, so there's a loss out in points to some drivers that possibly could be moving up on them. And yeah, I mean, that would, what a sad story that would be for him to get a win there at Dover and then not be able to go into the playoffs. But it happens sometimes. You got to perform well each and every race. You can't just perform well in one and think you're going to get through. So it is probably upsetting for him, who was someone on the hot streak, but we'll see how he can bounce back at Richmond maybe, and hopefully salvage a good enough night there to stay inside that top 20 to keep that win and in ability.
Gonna try his best. For us up in the booth, though, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll give you more racing action here at Chicagoland. As you're watching the ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series, it's the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie at Chicagoland. We will be back right after this. Let's just have a couple of words from our commercial. 5 wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. I know Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Turning to dive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck him.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That number is right. We are under another commercial. We are under another caution as we were under commercial break, as the field was just about to go under back to green flag action, and the caution flag waved as they were entering turn 1. Drivers piling in as Trenton Jump and Tyler Horn get mixed into one another, which collected multiple other drivers involved to bring out our most recent caution. We hope to have the replay up here shortly, but welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is Zach Hall. Robert Moore Jr. running productions in the background. Tonight's race is the second to last race of the regular season for Season 5. Race number 10, the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie. And here's what brought out the most recent yellow, the 26, 46, and others piling in, bringing out another yellow.
Big hit there. And I mean, just even more drivers hit this whole. That right there's the 6 of Justin Smith, the 26 of Tyler Horn. And I think this is another one of those type of deals where it's kind of drivers not being aware of their surroundings on this front straightaway here, Sam. When you get on this tri-oval, you see, I mean, the 9's all the way down there on the bottom. I think the 26 is thinking about him. The 46 has such a big head of steam in a run that the 26 I just don't think knew was there, and he just comes across the 46's nose, and from there you're going to have the 6 run into him, and just more and more just continue to pile in. There's nowhere to go for these guys.
Up Rook, Blake Hoppy, slide down. Mark Morales able to scave his way through, as well as the 4 of Austin Halsey, able to find their openings to get past. Drivers with required damage after this incident going to be Tyler Horn and as well Justin Smith for a quick second. Justin Smith still in pit road getting repairs done, and GT Irizarry is as well getting repairs done. From our previous incident, though, we have lost multiple drivers to calling it a day. Cody Smith has gotten back out there, but Malik Kuntz and Joshua Freed have both exited out of the server and are done for tonight's race. And this is points-wise gonna look very interesting going into next week. Next week, going to be at Richmond for the final race of the regular season. And Zach, going to a short track that in NASCAR's past has been the cutoff race, short track race, and I'm excited to see whose elbows are gonna get out to try to get as many points as they can.
Me too, Sam. I'm super excited to see who's going to get the elbows out, as you would say. I mean, this league is known for get some elbow grease on each other, and they're willing to push and shove. And when you see a playoff opportunity on the line, I think you're going to see some of that come to fruition. So we will have to see next week. Hopefully, everybody here tunes in tonight, comes back next Monday night, and is alongside us here to get to see who's going to be those final 16 fighting for another championship. Here is ISRC. It's crazy to say we've been here since the beginning, and I mean, even through a name change, it's just really crazy to see how many seasons we've already been through and get to crown another champion.
And every season, it's been a different driver getting a championship. Could season 5 be the first ever 2-time champion? As we still have Danny Cochran racing Trenton Jump. Both of those drivers already locked in. Nick Crawford, last season's champion, trying to figure out, can they finally get the gold? Or could Mark Whitley, John Forbes finally get their first championship, as they've been so close to getting it done? So many questions will be answered once we get to the playoffs. As we're about to get the one-to-go marker from the pace car when those lights go off, gives us time to shout out some of the amazing sponsors here at the ISRC Truck Series. Starting things off with the title sponsor being Larry Art Productions. Larry Art Productions being the new title sponsor for this season. If you want to go watch a variety of great different YouTube video content, from reviews, comedy skits, go check out Larry Art's Productions on YouTube and on Instagram. As well, big shout out to our white flag sponsor, the Laugh Lab. The Laugh Lab on Instagram is where you find your quality racing memes, posting daily relevant posts to make sure you get you through the day with the laugh on your smile. And as well, the final sponsor we want to give a major shout out to, that is Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios, being the qualifying sponsor for our qualifying grid. Again, if you'd like to go check out their wide range of selections, from custom tattoos, fully colored, as well as prints, paintings, stickers, and more, go to at Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios on Instagram. Thank you to the amazing sponsors that help out week in and week out here at the ISRC Truck Series. And as well, a huge shout out to that of our race sponsor for today's race, that being the Big Dog, the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie. If you want to go check out the cute and adorable golden retrievers, go to Cool Pup 15 on Instagram. Green flag is out. Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris taking the charge down into turn number 1.
Excellent start from Danny Cochran up front here. It's going to be Christopher Norris, though, under attack now as John Forbes is going to be trying to hold back that number 38 machine. With a 38, looks like he's going to power by on the inside.
Power and by to set up the 77. Mark Whitley now going to be side by side for 4th place, trying to march his way past that of Cody Reed, as Zach right now is surprised to see Logan Breaking still in the fight. Mason Cassidy as well. The new cast of characters with 60 laps to go are starting to show.
They are definitely starting to show up, and can't forget Logan Brinkey, after taking the tires there in the stage and taking advantage of that, got great stage points, but he was involved in a wreck at the very beginning of this race, had some damage on that right front or left front fender. That 29 has done a great job of rebounding. Right now under attack though from that 17 of Mason Cassidy, and he's also going to have Kyle Rochelle and his teammate Eric Stamp right in behind.
Mason Cassidy, 17 machine, came in tonight 21st in points. If he can get into the top 20 in points and wins tonight, that 17 machine, rookie year, could find himself into the playoffs. A lot of work as you see Eric Stamp, oh no, into Logan Breaky, into Nick Crawford, teammates on top of one another, and it's forcing everyone to go back, still slipping and sliding, as somehow we keep it straight green.
How did they hold on to that? We're all going to have to question that for sure. The 46 of Trenton Jump almost comes there and takes his teammate out.
Teammate on teammate action again! The Armadillos can't give up, and the caution flag finally strikes.
That was one of the most awkward wrecks I've ever seen right there. That was very interesting. I know the angle that we got right there, we just saw him go into the camera really fast, but that one just caught me off guard. And I think even after that, Trenton Jump just calls it a night, pulls it behind the wall, and I mean, oh no.
I mean, Trent Jump has been having a rough night. Eric Stamp at one moment thought that this could have been the night for a victory, and instead, I mean, the teammates have been struggling here this evening. I mean, Armadillos have been bounced around, and I mean, this time it was just late contact, boom. But this all started even a corner ahead of this when Kyle Rochelle and Eric Stamp got into one another, and then Trent Jump pulls it in pit road and calls it done and dusted. But I mean, Zach, this was a wild exchange for seeing these drivers.
I mean, Jump was sending it right there. I don't know if he just misjudged it right there, or he just was trying to slide job Nick Crawford and was going to slide from him and didn't expect his teammate to be that slow. But I know for a fact he didn't mean to do that, but he's definitely going, oh no, that one did not look good there for myself. But I mean, you have your nights, man. It happens for all of us drivers, and I think even he was like, you know what, I've had enough of it. I've had my bumps and bruises. I've gotten involved in other people's stuff too, and I'm just gonna call it a night. But that's tough for Extamp, who was, I mean, not even far really from that, you know, being out in the points for the playoffs. I mean, he was right there behind Moniz and Eric Stant, or I mean, right behind Moniz, and for 18th in points right there. So I mean, it's tough for Eric Stant to be involved in that incident.
And with Dakota Moniz not being able to show up anymore as he's got real life obligations that have popped up, it kind of forced Eric Stamp into that cutoff driver that was the first driver out, trying to get into the playoff hunt. And again, that whole entire incident actually didn't. It started initially going into turn 1 and 2. Eric Stamp and Kyle Rochelle. Stamp really forced the issue on the entry of turn 1. Got tapped by Kyle Rochelle that forced the 53 on the apron. Bounced him back into Logan Breaky, and the rest of the field then had to scatter around. Somehow they kept it green when there was about 3 or 4 opportunities of a big wreck happening. And then it was the teammate of Trent Jump getting into Eric Stamp that brought out the yellow. Crazy different bang bang moments to bring out our 7th caution of the day. And certainly a situation that you kind of want to scrub away and put in the back door and get prepared for next week for.
Definitely so, for sure. And I mean, that's all you really can do. I mean, you can't change what happened now, so you got to live with it and just move on. But with how this is set up, this is very, very interesting here. So, I mean, Campbell got himself all the way up to 9th with those freshest tires of that group that decided to pit. But yeah, guys like Nick Crawford who pit that time with Campbell. I mean, he was right there in the mix with the Eric Stamp incident and really lost out. And I mean, it just shows you if you pit and you give up track position, sometimes it can come back to hurt you. But Campbell just did a good job, I gotta say, of getting back up to the 9th for himself. We'll just see though if this race, you know, gets continuous cautions like this, having that one less set of tires, it will come back to bite some of these guys.
That it certainly can, as we are inching closer and closer to 100 laps into this run. And Christopher Norris, John Forbes' teammate, it's going to be the front two. How are they going to work with one another? Danny Cochran, kind of the lone driver, with Cody Reed in 4th with the Snowy Desert sandwich that's going on there. Mark Whitley behind Mason Cassidy. Like we said, this 17 in such an interesting spot when you look at the points. If he finds himself in a victory lane with a solid points day, he could be stealing a spot in the playoffs, as if you're inside the top 20, you get a win, you are automatically pushed into the playoffs, where Cassidy is hoping to get it done. And you know, look at the rest of the drivers inside of the top 10. Tyler Dangler finally cracks the top 10 for the 19 back at 10.
Tyler's had that type of season, man. He's had quiet nights that end up being good, solid top 10s. And personally, that's what's propelled Tyler to be in as good a position as he is, coming in here 12th to 9th in points. I mean, he has got a pretty sizable gap. Pretty much coming out tonight, he could pretty much lock himself almost into that next round if he can just finish it out strong while a few other guys, you know, blunder, as they would say. So it's a great job by Tyler, and that's kind of what you got to do if you're Tyler. I mean, personally, you know, he's had seasons where it's been a struggle to get top 10s. This season, I just love that he's just been there, and that's what sometimes you got to do. You just got to make the laps, and sometimes that's what equates to good top 10 finishes and that consistency. So great job from the 19. Continue that.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that top 10 finishes, I mean, last season he wasn't able to find himself into getting a top 10 finish, yet made himself into the playoffs, even with the consistent runs. He was always someone that was just on the precipice of having solid finish after solid finish. Here this season, he is technically tied 9th for top 10 finishes, with Ryan Bird with 4, hoping to get his 5th potentially here this evening, or grab his 3rd top 5, which has been a struggle to find in past seasons. The 19, a good run so far, but up front, Christopher Norris, John Forbes going to be your lead drivers as everyone stacked side by side, ready for this race to get back to green flag action. You're watching the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie, the Golden Retrievers that got to sponsor today's race at Chicagoland. Race 10 is back underway, green flag action, and Danny Cochran not wanting to let the teammates just get in line. The 2 shoving Christopher Norris down into turn number 1.
Big push, like you said there, Sam, from the 2, giving that 38 a huge head of steam out front. That's going to allow this 2 to clear the 11, and he's going to have the opportunity now to make what kind of decision he wants to do. But it's going to be the 77 of Whitley, who's fighting strong now on the first car on the bottom. What is Christopher Norris going to do? Is he going to cover off that 2, but the 2's going to jump to the outside, and that's what especially he wants to do.
Goes high, giving up space, but trying to get that massive run off the exit. Defending all the way down to the apron is Danny Cochran, not wanting to let Mark Whitley get to the inside quarter panel. Christopher Norris, a little wiggle on the entry of the corner, trying to just flare out, cause these drivers to lose some type of momentum is the key. But Danny Cochran wants to get to that lead position.
Jumping to the inside, down the back straightaway. The 2's going to have a good head of steam. But the 38, how well can he roll the center of the corner? He can't open up the door too much because the 77 will be there to close it if that outside opens up. And the 38 going to side draft this 2. But will this open up a run for that the 77 of Whitley here?
Mark Whitley bounces the outside lane, picking and choosing. How aggressive do you really want to be? Top 6, all going to be almost side by side with one another. But it's Danny Cochran, slight advantage, but the draft help is going to go to 38. Everyone slicing and dicing. Where do you feel the most comfortable to enter these corners? And Christopher Norris trapped on the outside all by his lonesome. And now going to be side by side with his teammate is Mark Whitley. Picking and choosing where he wants to go is Cody Reed, aggressively following the 77 down to the apron.
We've seen some big movements back and forth there on the front straightaway, and that's what that apron gives the opportunity to see. We could see some big incidents here leading up to this into this race because drivers just knowing what they have to risk here to make moves. And right now, Forbes is the one on the bottom trying to make it happen.
Top 13 drivers still attached in the draft. 14th on back. Drivers caught up in some type of damage. But up front, it is all Danny Cochran. Got the pole. Wasn't able to win at the stage because of the difference on tire strategies. But this 2 machine, Zach, trying to get his 2nd win of the season, if possible. While John Forbes on the 11th side of things, he wants to find himself into victory lane for the first time this season.
That he does. And what a way it would be to be done because personally, Forbes, he had concerns about making the playoffs at some points, but has had a great recovery since coming back from the iRacing suspension and has really put some good points there to be able to allow himself to point himself even in. But he wants a victory nonetheless. That would be huge momentum headed into the playoffs. It's always good to have a victory in your back pocket.
And John Forbes is someone that, if you look at the history books of the ISRC Truck Series, he has been in victory lane almost every season that he's ran in. And think back to season 2, he was the most winningest driver that season. This 11 knows how to get it done. It's just been unfortunate circumstances that have wiped him out of races. The speed has always been there, but he's got to beat out one of the biggest rivals of Danny Cochran. These guys run with one another for practice. They always are trying to learn the best strategies at these races. And sometimes your biggest ally coming into a race becomes your biggest enemy when it comes to race time.
It really can be that way sometimes. It's crazy how rivalries form in leagues, and this league has had its history of that. As they're 3 wide down the back straightaway there for a moment. Kanata trying to go up the inside here with Ferraro and the 21 of Rochelle there. Just contact through the middle of the corners. Ferraro's trying to hang on in the middle.
Everyone that's inside of our top 9, all on 40-lap old tires, except for Joshua Kanata. Kanata going to be on 24-lap old tires compared to the rest of the field. So that's going to be a 16-lap advantage to the 16 machine, showing that the fresher rubber is helpful to have. But the damage drivers have been picking up throughout this race in the middle of the field has been hindering them, as Kyle Rochelle not giving up for the 21 machine.
Not giving one bit up at all, indeed. It's surprising to see Kanata having a little bit of a tough time here trying to get through these drivers, but they're doing a great job now. As Nick Crawford 10 laps ago since his last pit stop. Don't think that Nick Crawford took tires was a 6-second stop, so I think he took tires 25 laps ago along with Kanata. So this 74 trying to fight back, but surprised to see the 9 of Justin Campbell, who's right behind this group here. He hadn't making as much headway as he was up to 9th on the restart even.
I think it's more of a patience here, Zach. I mean, everyone that's in the field right now still needing to pit at least one more time here this evening. So you might be thinking that if you're patient, just keep yourself in the fight, come into pit road. Maybe the pit strategy is what's going to get you into victory lane. So the 9 not putting that much of a strain on the drivers ahead of them. Maybe thinking about let's survive in case there's a big wreck with some of the aggressive driving that was going on up front.
That is a great strategy to employ. We'll see how well it works out for them. Looks like the others are employing a little bit different. They're trying to make up some time here. Maybe because if they feel like if a green flag stop comes, we'll see, do the drivers on the freshest tires stretch it farther, or do they look to pit around the same time and, you know, keep up with those guys? So it's going to be a lot of different questionable strategies here because, again, like you said, we still need to pit at least one more time, and we are in the window to make it to the end of this race now. So at any point someone pits here, they can make it to the end, and you could see green flag stops anywhere from now to really the next 20 laps.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing for these drivers that are all inside of our top 13 is there's 3 that still can stretch the fuel out a little bit longer, that being Joshua Kanata, Nick Crawford, and Justin Campbell. The rest of the field, they're going to have to hit pit road either now or in the next 5 laps because the caution flags have been coming out to enable them to keep a couple of extra laps of fuel underneath themselves. But pit stops are right around the corner, and you're banking on maybe staying out the longest of anyone else because a caution flag could also be looming right around the corner as Joshua Kanata inside lane with Cody Reed and Christopher Norris, the 16, trying to get by his affiliated teammates and make the march forward with himself in the 74.
The 16 knows what's up stakes for him. He needs to run down those 3 up front and get past this group because he's got the freshest tires of this group, and you really just want to make a quick, efficient pass, but it looks like Christopher Norris fighting on that outside still. We'll see how long he does fight because, again, we have, you know, Kanata, who's an affiliate, and Nick Crawford right there from Snowy Desert Racing. I wouldn't be surprised if 38 doesn't put up too big of a fight here.
Trying to stay high, give the spacing since that draft isn't as aggressive, but has to stay in that middle lane so he doesn't give up all the momentum and allow other drivers to follow and suit. Joshua Kanata moving forward, but up front, top 3, Danny Cochran, John Forbes, Mark Whitley. Whitley has been patiently stocking our front 2, allowing them to battle back and forth, use up those tires, as the 77 has been marching slightly faster for the last couple of laps and just staying in tow until he needs to pounce to make the pass.
I love what Mark Whitley's done. Each and every one of these runs, he has not pushed his truck. You can tell he's had a lot still left in the bag, and I think, yeah, it's tough to pass. We're getting close to the window where these guys are about to pit, but he's right here in the position that he needs to be when we come down to the last green flag stop. If he's able to put pressure on, these guys might make mistakes, and that's where Mark Whitley's going to want to be.
I mean, we talk about when you want to come into pit road, those pit road strategy calls, as the pit window is now full for sure, 100% clear for anyone to come into pit road now to make it. But you think about how strategies go, it's usually not the first driver that pits that wins the race, nor is it the last driver. It's that middle ground that you're looking for. And if you're Mark Whitley, saving just enough fuel will put you right in the middle of drivers that can push it as far as they can go, and those that are going to have to pit earlier, like Danny Cochran. He's been the lead driver, most likely going to have to pit the soonest between these top 3 in front of him.
Definitely probably going to have to pit earlier for Cochran for sure, leading up front for majority of this, while the other 2 have been in the draft saving that fuel, as they would say, for sure. I mean, these guys have been 49 laps since their last pit stop. We can go about 44 laps under green flag conditions, but we've had a lot of yellows, so these guys should be able to stretch it a good bit here. I think anywhere from the next 3 to 4, maybe even 5 laps, we could see him stretch it out. As Forbes right there making a concise pass here. What a job by him, but I think Cochran might try to pull the crossover here and get the side draft, but that's going to open up the door for the 77 even possible.
Closing it in just a little bit more as the driver does hit pit road, being Ryan Ferraro. Other drivers over the radio speaking up, they're going to hit pit road soon, and it's going to be the 2 of Danny Cochran hitting pit road. Stayed low, didn't want to give up any space, and he'll be the first driver of our top 3.
All by himself, and that could be an interesting call to be made because I think pitting with a group of trucks will be the best way to go. We've seen for a majority of the night, it's been pack racing, so pitting by yourself could be a trouble for that too.
as the driver's going to be up front. John Forbes now over the radio that he's going to be hitting pit road. Cody Reed in 5th place, having Christopher Norris, Kyle Rochelle aiming and wait on where to go. Pit road also following suit. It's going to be Nick Crawford. The teammates assisting one another. Mason Cassidy coming into pit road as well. Christopher Norris over the radio announcing he'll hit pit road this go around. And with that of 45 laps to go, less than 40 laps to go, these drivers are setting up for this last stint. It's going to be the rundown of the drivers that are pitting early. Can they build a big enough lead to the drivers that are waiting to hit pit road?
Now this is go time. You want to have your best laps right now. Best time you can run right here is going to make up any type of ground. You see Christopher Norris entering here. Just a really good entry. He's going to be side by side coming into this entry, and this is going to be awkward with the 21 who's got a pit box before him, so this could get very scary.
Kyle Rochelle having to lose time. That aggressive move by Christopher Norris was trying to just woe up, make him slow down sooner for Rochelle. Tactical advantages of when you're being aggressive in pit road entry. The 38 hits his box cleanly, going to be taking off. Still out on track is Joshua Kanata, but he'll hit pit road sooner than everyone else. Not wanting to give up too much time, and instead it's Justin Campbell staying out. Ryan Bird, Matt Upbrook, going to be our lead drivers as they'll stay out for another couple laps. Ryan Bird's going to have to hit pit road soon. Same for Logan Brakey, but Justin Campbell can stay out for an extra 5 to 8 more laps, and same could go to other drivers. The one driver that can go the furthest of anyone else is Matt Upbrook, who pitted 23 laps ago to top off on fuel.
Matt Upbrook, he's close to where he could somewhat almost want to think about doing it, but it's just not close enough. So it's not going to look good, I think, for him for fuel to make it to the end, but definitely has the freshest tires of this group, and I think maybe didn't even take tires. They're looking at a 6.6 second stop last time by, but still had the most fuel, so has the most options available to him. So we'll see what he likes to do, but Campbell right now running a 32.27 to some of these guys who pit. Cochran a 30.67. It's giving up a lot of time here, Sam. I'm interested to see if he'll come to pit road. I know he had some of the freshest tires out there, but I don't think he can wait too long here before he's got to come down, because he'll lose any hope of getting that draft from somebody.
Ryan Bird now going to hit pit road, and the question of how much longer do you want to stay out? And like we've said before, the timing of these yellows have been so dramatic. You never really know when a caution could come out, but if you're Justin Campbell, maybe a caution lies perfectly in wait that right when you're hoping for yellow to come out, it can help, but instead pit road for the 9 as well for the 15, as they will no longer have to stay out, relinquishing the lead to Logan Brakey and the 29, who is going to have to hit pit road this go around.
He's went 57 laps since his last pit. That's so impressive. That just shows you what caution laps can do. So good job by Brakey there to take this chance, because if he does get a caution, this could definitely shake things up, they would say. So we'll see when he has to come. I think it's going to have to be here in the next few laps, but I'm not surprised to see the 9 come in, because, again, they were just losing so much time, and 29 continues on here, Sam. So another lap completed for him.
And one driver that is off the pace. Now, not expecting him to win this race, but at least salvage something. Blake Hoppy, 31 machine, pitted 25 laps ago, and it's still out on track, but his pace is so much slower than everyone else. It's 31. It's going to be about that, I believe, 5 laps shy for making it to the end of this before he'll run out of fuel. But he can stay out as long as he needs and bank on a yellow flag to hit.
I think he's going to need to here, because, the way points look for him, it's not very likely that he's going to be able to, point his way in. So take a risk here, go for the win. Why not? If you lose points here tonight, it's not going to matter too much, other than, probably putting you in a worse position to be top 20 if you get a win next week at Richmond. So it does kind of make you think about that, but I think you got to go for it here if you're Hoppy, and just take the chance, hope for that yellow flag to come out, and keep that track position.
Continues to stay out on track, and we look to where the drivers are at. This is the breakdown. Everyone that has pitted so far can make it to the end of this race. Danny Cochran is leading that charge, one of the first drivers to hit pit road of our lead group. Because he was not able to save fuel, he had to build up a gap of a half a second to the 11 of John Forbes. And Forbes is in a pretty good spot right now. They're a lap later than Danny Cochran in the draft assistance, closing in ever so slightly on Danny Cochran. But the driver in 4th and 5th, side by side, they've been on top of one another. Mark Whitley, that of Nick Crawford, they are 2.2 seconds off of John Forbes and being over 2.5 seconds off of Danny Cochran. With the way they're running right now, Zach, I don't even know if this group can catch up to the two machine.
I think you're exactly right, Sam. This is going to be tough because this battle rider is so crucial for the 77. He cannot get caught up in this. If he gets caught up in this battle with Nick Crawford here, he's not going to be able to run down Forbes or that 2 of Cochran. So we'll have to see here as the 74 fights back. That draft's so powerful.
So powerful, and as they continue to fight back in 4th, 7/10 back, almost 8/10 back, excuse me, a half a second back. I was miscounting that. Joshua Kanata in the 16, who's on the freshest of tires of anyone inside of our top 10. He is currently going to find himself around that of almost 3 seconds off of Danny Cochran. A lot of work, but currently that last lap was 3/10 faster than Danny Cochran, and at this moment is slowly chipping away on closing on the gap as 2nd place Cody Reed in just a wait and salvage mode. Take the points he can, and it's a good run for the birthday boy.
It is definitely a good run and a good team run there. As his teammate now, Christopher Norris, trying to get past Ryan Ferrari here for the 8th position. Let's see if he can get up there. I think Chris Norris lost a little bit of time there in those pit stop sequences as he'll get that pass done. And he's been past, Kyle Rochelle, who he battled there on entry to pit road. So those two not getting away from each other, but let's see if he can track down his teammate Cody Reed. But I think Kanata might be in the best position here, Sam. He's going to be the one I think that could give the game to the drivers up ahead.
It's going to be a lot of work, but if he can get it done, he's first. That's get by these two drivers of Nick Crawford and Mark Whitley efficiently and without any holdback. Otherwise, you could throw it away and say that it's between the 2 and the 11 on who's going to win this race. Danny Cochran or John Forbes have been on top of one another. The teammates get in line, and John Forbes, for that, Joshua Kanata, working with Nick Crawford, hoping that this alliance can help themselves get by the most winningest driver in the ISRC Truck Series of Mark Whitley.
This is huge right now for Kanata. He needs to, like you say, make a good pass on Mark Whitley next and try to track down those 2 up front, because the 2 up front so far, I think they've been smart. Forbes has not tried to pass Cochran yet. If he tries to pass Cochran up front, who's right on his back bumper right now, it's going to slow them 2 down, and it's going to allow this trio here to catch them up. I think if you're Forbes, you've got to wait till the last second to pass Cochran here, because you do not want to give an opportunity to anybody else in this battle. You want to take this mano-a-mano.
The tug of war back and forth on who can take a grasp of this lead position. Could it be the dog machine in the 11 of John Forbes, or will it be Danny Cochran that's going back with some throwback schemes of when he won back in season 2 in this 2 machine? Could it be the throwback or the dog that gets it done for the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie? Thank you so much to Jack and Archie for sponsoring today's race. Again, go check out the Instagram of the beautiful Golden Retrievers at the Cool Pup 15 on Instagram. As they continue to fight back and forth, Zach, looking at the times, still 2 seconds is the difference between 3rd and 4th place, as Blake Hoppy continues to lead the way, and again, needs a caution badly because he can stay out there until around 5 laps to go.
Exactly. I mean, he's got a while before he needs still to pit here. And, I mean, he is only 4 seconds ahead of Cochran and Forbes right now, who Forbes taking a chance here, trying to go to the inside. And like you said, only a 2-second gap still back there. It hadn't really shrunk, but when they race side by side, I guarantee that timer is going to go down. So this 11 needs to get this done quickly if he wants to go forward and try to drive away.
Trying to make the move. How efficiently can it be as the 11 of John Forbes gasses it up, exit of 4. Side by side, not able to fully clear, and that gap between 3rd and 4th, less than 2 seconds. Still keeping it pretty equal distance, but Danny Cochran, outside lane is just too strong, not allowing the 11 to fully clear, and as they stay side by side, like you said, the gap dwindles down more. They lost that go around 3/10 to this pack back here.
It's going to keep dwindling. The more and more they race side by side, you see Mark Whitley here in Kanata. They're not racing side by side. That's the key. You know, they're going to be quickly running these guys down, and it's going to be almost only down to a 1.5 seconds here when they cross the line. I mean, it just shows you side by side racing. It is the slowest way to race around a racetrack. Just the aerodynamic features of these race cars pull each other down and cause drag and aero disadvantages that you just can't replicate by running single file.
Trying to run down Mark Whitley, now see them in line, and that's going to assist and help the bleeding from continuing on, but it's less than a second and a half the gap between that of the 11 to the 77. As Blake Hoppy now a little bit under 2.5 seconds ahead of Danny Cochran. And once this 31 gets passed, it's going to be a quick downfall from lead position all the way down to around 6th or 7th place. But the 31 of Blake Hoppy, he had to gamble. Strategy-wise, he's so far back in points. This was probably the one Hail Mary the 31 had to try to make the playoffs, was win here tonight or next week, and needed a solid points day. So this 31 needs a caution to at least minimize to get a good points day. Maybe he doesn't have the speed with all the damage this 31 has collected throughout tonight's race. He might not have the winning truck, but at least could get some decent points.
Trying every little thing, man. That's how you gotta do it in racing, to try to make these playoffs sometimes. And Hoppy's doing it. So if he does get a caution, it changes the game plan, because he's coming down pit road. He should hopefully have a set of tire, even though he's had 7 pit stops. I imagine he hasn't took tires on every one of those pit stops. So we'll see what happens. But he's definitely hoping for that yellow flag, because at some point here, he will have to hit pit road for fuel. And at some point, he also is going to get called for this lead, because that battle is raging for second right behind him as Mark Whitley's continuing to take chunks of time out.
Taking chunks away, and Joshua Kanata and Nick Crawford are starting to battle between themselves. Cody Reed's now starting to get into the mix, and that's going to be adding another flavor into this grouping. It's going to be now 5 drivers that have a potential chance of winning this race. With John Forbes finally able to clear Danny Cochran, Nick Crawford, Joshua Kanata being side by side, it's allowing Mark Whitley to just easily cruise in and catch up to that of John Forbes and Danny Cochran.
I'm worried if Kanata, even with the freshest tires, may use them up a little bit to run down that group ahead of him. Maybe he's suffering now because Mark Whitley's running him down, but you can see Forbes and Cochran, they're all over each other, as they know this could be the battle for the win. But if they battle too hard, that 77 is licking his chops.
But also watch out for Cody Reed. Cody Reed last lap was 0.3 faster than Danny Cochran. He was 1/10 faster than Mark Whitley and 2/10 faster than John Forbes. The speed is there for the 25, but is there enough time with 14 laps to go? And if they continue to stay side by side, the 25 could be the best driver right now.
Birthday boy is putting it on here right at the end, and he loves Chicagoland. We know last season he didn't have the finish he wanted. He had tons of speed, led over 40 laps at this race. What a time to come back here late at the race and show the speed he's got.
Fighting back and forth. Now with John Forbes finally clear, trying to just pull away from Danny Cochran. Trying to get that first ever win this season for John Forbes. Other drivers are aiming for their second, some third. Mark Whitley, he's been winning a lot recently, trying to get his 4th win of the season. But it's coming down to the final couple laps. 13 laps to go. And Zach, this is given feels of last season. Chicagoland came down to that last lap when Mark Whitley and Noah Steele had to dice it back and forth on who had the lead on the last lap. It was Mark Whitley that took the crown. It's got a feeling that tonight it could be coming down to those final 5 laps on who wins here at Chicagoland.
It very well could be. Can Cody Reed run down Mark Whitley? But I think Whitley's going to be the one on the prowl. He's right now back almost to the bumper of the 2. Does the 77 have enough time, though, to get the 11?
Trying to close in on John Forbes as he's close to the back bumper of Blake Hoppy. Mark Whitley is on the back bumper of Danny Cochran. And the 77 to the outside of Danny Cochran, setting up where to go to make this pass. Danny Cochran, but I'm not expecting him just to lay over and give this spot away. What type of blocks are we going to have? With 11 laps to go, it's the 11 machine in the catbird seat trying to get by Blake Hoppy.
I mean, if you're the 11, the 2 is your best friend right now. You hope he battles hard, and you hope the 31 is not too big of a holdup, but the times have almost evened out. It just shows you these tires even out. Hoppy might be in trouble for the 11 here.
Trying to hold up where to go, and right onto the back bumper, a quick close in was the 11 of John Forbes, and losing momentum as the 31 continues to fight, blocking down low, giving opportunities to Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley to get back into the mixture as they stay side by side. Talking about Cody Reed, he's a 2.5 back. He needs these drivers to really start fighting and losing time quickly. But John Forbes to the outside lane, exactly where he needs to go. 10 laps to go, and an opportunity to make fast for the lead.
It's any man's game up here in the top 3. Forbes knows he needs to clear this 31. That's the crucial pass, and the 31's going to fight all these guys because he knows he needs a caution and he wants track position. So every battle here is crucial for him. I think it's going to be a good one here for Forbes if he can just clear this 31 machine.
Almost fully clear. Hoppy has to send it into the corner. Not enough gap. Instead, the 11 will have the run. But Danny Cochran had the speed. Really sent it into the corner. Almost gets into the outside wall. Ducks it down low with the better momentum and the speed. But not able to get to the quarter panel. John Forbes stays in the lead spot. 9, about to be 8 laps to go. Like Hoppy now is going to head into pit road.
Loose for the 2. Hoppy's having to come in with the fuel. And man, oh man, we're setting up for a classic finish here. Only 8 laps to go. And I tell you what, I don't know who's going to win that. It looks like Cochran has chances of getting the tires back in position. But the 77 always looks like he's ready to win a late race battle.
I mean, Mark's just been in the wings, waiting for a chance. Do you attack now, or do you wait with 5 laps to go to just show your muscles and say, I've got a chance to take win number 4 of the season? And for John Forbes, this is a race that he just wants to get the win, get the momentum right before the playoffs, just 2 weeks away. And a momentum swing can really help out these drivers right before the playoffs happen. And John Forbes, Danny Cochran, both are trying to find that momentum to carry forward.
What a win can do is amazing for your confidence, and that's what the 11's thinking about right now. He just wants the victory. He's not thinking about playoffs. He's not thinking about nothing. He's thinking about getting to the end of this 150 laps in that lead position. And if he does it, it's going to set him up well, because we've seen Forbes before. He's known the streak. He knows when he gets on a hot streak, he's good the next few weeks, and we're heading to the playoffs. No better time to get your first win of the season this time. But we know Cochran's hungry to get an oval win, and you know Mark Whitley, he's always willing to risk it for a win.
If there's a chance for a win and a victory for the 77, he's going to send it all. You think back to last week at Bristol, had to march his way past all of the Snowy Desert Racing drivers, had to use the bump and run at Bristol late in the race to get by Christopher Norris and to win. 77, would he be willing to use the bumper to get back into victory lane for another time here this season? And also for these front 3, with how close they're getting, the chances of a battle looming ahead. What if a caution flag were to come out? And there's a couple of pods that are battling side by side, but Danny Cochran needs to get ahead just in case the yellow flag strikes.
You're exactly right. If a yellow flag strikes, you'll want to be in the lead. So you can't wait too long here if you're Cochran, if you think you have a chance. But Forbes just looks too strong right now. And even Mark Willey falling back off. And don't count Cody Reed. He's been a little bit quicker each and every lap here the past 5 or 10 laps. And he's slowly starting to chip away at it. If these 3 get into it, Reed could be right there to pick up the pieces.
All 3 lanes utilized there through 1 and 2. Forbes on the high lane. Middle went to the 2. Danny Cochran. Mark Whitley ran all the way on the white line. Picking the clean air. Where can you find it to find enough grip to make it through the corner so you can gas up, carry the momentum, and be in a position to win? Lap traffic could be a factor. 3 laps to go here for the big dog showdown by Jack and Archie. It is John Forbes in the dog machine, hoping to get it done here tonight.
Looking for that first victory of the season, what it would do to help out his playoff run heading into it after next week at Richmond. What a time it would be to get hot right now, as the 11 has done the job so far, but coming to 2 to go, he's got to hold off these 2 because they are ready to get past them themselves.
Ready to pounce, ready to attack, and John Forbes has to get by Justin Smith, Austin Halsey potentially here. 2 laps to go. Will they be a factor? Last year, there was a factor of Cody Smith that was in the way on the entry of the white flag. Will John Forbes have to worry about the 6? Doesn't look like it. Justin Smith stays low, trying to get out of the way for the 11 and others, and it's going to be actually hindering Mark Whitley, who has to run the middle lane.
Whitley going to lose a little bit of time, but it's Forbes who looks up to the flag stand, and he knows it's his time to pounce.
And across the line, it's your laugh lap white flag. Go check out your quality daily memes on Instagram. John Forbes, Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, 3 drivers all within a chance to win here tonight. The 11 off the exit of turn 2.
Big run for him off the exit of turn 2. Is able to open up the gap, and now what lane does he pick heading down to 3?
John Forbes staying low, trying to keep a position. There's plenty of space behind him. Off the exit of the corner, Mark Whitley into the wall. And John Forbes solidifying the second most winning driver in the ISRC Truck Series is back into victory lane. John Forbes wins here at Chicagoland.
What a job by John there. Able to hold off the two, pitted one lap later and made it happen there, Sam. And I tell you what, they had to hold off a hard charge of Mark Whitley along with that. That was a excellent race, but just shows you when it's that late into the run, everybody that close in the speed, being up front is the place you want to be, and Forbes was there at the right time to get the victory.
He certainly was, and Danny Cocker, Mark Whitley aggressively fighting to get those spots. See all the teammates coming in for congratulational bumps to the 11 of John Forbes, and everyone giving the congratulational bumps. But I mean, Zach, tonight's race, John Forbes, he showed that he could be up there. He was in the top 3 all night long when everyone was on equal footing, and it just made sense. The driver that took the middle ground on a pit stop strategy found himself in a victory lane.
I mean, you're exactly right. You never want to be that first one to pit. You never want to be the last one to pit, because it's always that guy right in the middle that gets it right, and it was John Forbes tonight who did that right call and got it done, and going to be celebrating here in victory lane, knowing now entering next week at Richmond, try to go get him another victory, maybe stack up some of them points heading into those playoffs, and we'll see how he can perform from there. Because I mean, hey, getting a mile and a half victory here at Chicagoland, that bodes well for Homestead. Definitely a different track, but I'd say the surfaces are pretty similar. So great job by the 11 here. We'll see how it carries for him here in the next few weeks.
See how we can carry it forward. Well, for us up in the booth, we are not done just yet. We've got the post-race show right after this. We'll talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver, get their thoughts on tonight's race as the teammates burn it down. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. Race number 10 is in the books. We got one more left before this regular season is done. We're heading to Richmond next week. But tonight, the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie goes to a driver repping a dog scheme, so he gets a little bit of fun cash on the side as well. It goes to 11 of John Forbes. John, congratulations. You're back into victory lane. Man, how are you feeling after what looked like a grueler between yourself and Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sitting in sweat up here. That was a workout for sure. Yeah, it was just interesting to see how it was going to play out in that last run because Danny pit one lap before me and he wasn't able to get out of my draft. So I caught up to him, just held in behind him. And at this point, there was about a 2-second lead behind me to Mark and I think it was Crawford behind me. And I just didn't know whether to pass Danny or try to go for it, or I should just wait because I didn't know if Mark had been saving his tires or what was going to happen. So I tried it once, it didn't work. And then there was one corner where Danny just did not get out of it. And I was like, all right, I can't sit here and just push behind him the whole race. So made a move, got around him, and just set the sails from there.
That you did, John, man. Well, congrats first off on the win this season. That's amazing to get yourself back in that win column. And take us through it there. You talk about the timing of making that pass and, not knowing whether you wanted to ride behind him or get out front. But how strong was that clean air once you did get out in front of him? Do you feel like that was the control, like gave you the control there down to the end?
I don't think it's as much of an advantage as other tracks because I feel like if you're the car second and you kind of dive it in on whoever's leading, it will definitely get them looser. So that's kind of why I was kind of comfortable riding behind Danny for a while, just because I knew I was going to wear his tires out, I feel like, faster. And as the run went on, I just saw him getting more loose than I was out of the corners. So I figured it was working, so I just kept doing that till eventually I saw a pretty good opening to take it.
I mean, you took that opportunity, took it for a win, and this season, John, it now continues your streak. You've won at every season from season 2, 3, 4, and now 5. What was your mentality going throughout this season when it felt like maybe a win wasn't in your hands?
Yeah, just I started off with super high hopes, and then obviously we saw with the suspension and stuff what happened there. So at that point, my goal was just to get in the playoffs, and I was already in that realm of doing that, but I didn't want to go into the playoffs with no bonus points, just the bottom of the pool, because I mean we see every season how unpredictable it is every single time. So I definitely didn't want to just settle with that, and I've just been coming out here the past couple weeks just right in the top 5 the whole race, and just no matter what happens, we're always up here at the end. So just continue to build that momentum into the playoffs, and we're going to see how it goes.
Certainly is a good momentum to carry forward. John, congratulations on this win. And the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Thank you guys every single week for putting these on, and I want to thank all the friends and family watching. And for the sponsor tonight, we got that the little dog race going on, the pet race. So we got Baron into victory lane here. Yeah, it was just a good night. Oh, thank you guys.
Well, that is going to be the 11 of John Forbes getting his 9th career win, solidifying himself as the 2nd most winningest driver in the ISRC Truck Series. Congratulations, John, and also locking yourself into the playoffs. Good luck next week.
Thank you guys.
Well, from victory lane, let's go to 2nd place. The driver that John actually beat out, who was tied for 2nd in the most wins ever, was this 2 machine of Danny Cochran. Still a solid finish. We're seeing the momentum starting to swing. Danny, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on 2nd place. Man, how are you feeling after tonight's performance?
Man, I've never been happier to run 2nd in my life for a few reasons, man. First and foremost, dude, it's just nice to finally have a little momentum. I mean, besides, we got a win at Sonoma, of course, but it was just wreck after wreck after wreck. Before that, Bristol, we got a top 10. It was nothing to write home about, and then to run in the lead for a while, and the provisional lead, the 31. He tried that massive undercut that was about 10 laps away from working out, but being able to battle with the leaders again finally is just the best feeling in the world. So, I mean, like I said, man, I have never been happier to run 2nd in my life.
Well, Danny, congrats on second, man. It's great to see these good runs piling up for you. And you talk about momentum. How important do you think it is to carry that momentum from tonight into Richmond so that can continue for the playoffs?
Well, with this style of playoffs and the system that we have, momentum is everything. You know, you can't. Any time you have any kind of postseason, it's really important to try and build whatever kind of momentum you can and just put together solid run after solid run, even if it's not wins. I mean, you're still going to want those, especially as it gets closer and closer to the championship round. But I mean, just being able to put together solid top 5, top 3 runs and show yourself as a contender, it's really, really important to stack some pennies there. I mean, I'd rather have the first half of the season than I did, instead of kind of like flip it around, where you're running top 5, top 10 in the first half, and then you start just junking cars every week in the second.
I absolutely agree on that standpoint, Danny, and it's awesome to see your momentum trying to finally swinging around. Congratulations on second place, and before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, man. Holly's mom, of course, wonderful lady, put up whatever the sponsor fee is. I think it's 25, and then another 25 on top of that to the winner. So awesome to see that. That love to see folks outside of like the circle of drivers getting involved in the league. It's awesome to see for both the racing and the broadcast and everybody involved, everybody watching. The admins for putting this thing on, you guys for broadcasting it. I think me and John gave you guys a pretty good show tonight, and that's all anybody can ask for. And Mark was there at the end as well. But happy birthday to Cody. Can't forget to wish Cody a happy birthday. All of my sponsors, Hot Lap Threads, Larry Arts Productions, Sazone Mexican Restaurants, Race Car Graveyard, and Mostec Tire and Auto. All these guys that are helping me along the way in my virtual and real racing ventures. And last but certainly not least, John Forbes. Awesome run tonight. It's cool, really cool being able to battle for laps on end with him for the lead. Great driver, even better friend. So I'm really happy to see that out of him. And I'm really looking forward to seeing those guys and a few others here in a few weeks at Bristol. That's going to be a lot of fun. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Danny, for joining up with us. Congratulations once again on a second place finish. Enjoy this, and good luck next week at Richmond.
Thank you, boys.
Well, from second place, we go down to third. Mark Whitley. Hope that his luck of qualifying 17th was going to rub off from last season to this season. Still a top 3 finish. In the 77, we got him up in the booth. Mark, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on third place. Man, that seemed like a close battle at the end to watch out for. What else did you need to go for a chance for a win there?
I needed to probably have a little bit faster pit stop or pit a lap or two earlier because I wanted to get the fresher tires, and I thought I got on the pit road pretty good. I was hoping to be closer to those guys when I came out of the pits, but I got behind Nick, and he was on like 1 or 2 lap older tires. But it was just me and him raced too much, and by the time I got around him, yeah, I just used too much of my stuff to catch those guys. And when I got there, it was just the line I needed to run. They were running it, and it was just I couldn't run the high side. It was too tight, and then it would snap loose. So I was just kind of there hoping they'd race each other, make a mistake, but I don't know if I really could have done anything else with them. Was trying to pull some strategy earlier in the race, just try to take it easy where I could just, if it went green, I could just, blow the doors off everybody with, saving tires. But it worked out, I guess, for the stage. We wound up having to come back in, but the whole race was pretty interesting. I couldn't never really save like I wanted to. It felt like if I tried, I was just getting run over. So I had to always run harder than I wanted to, but it worked out. Top 3.
Yeah, Mark, we've seen you definitely saving a lot here tonight and trying to make the runs back up through. And you had that ending to the stage where you caught up to Campbell there, almost got him before the ending of that. And right there at the end, also running those guys down on multiple of those runs, looking really quick on the long runs. So how tough was that dirty air when you caught somebody? Because it seemed like the tires evened out so much that even though you did have that advantage, once you caught somebody, if they took your line away, it was almost impossible.
Yeah, it's just like when you get there's no air on the nose, it would just make it push getting in, and you had to put more wheel in it, which then would get it snappy loose on exit. And these trucks are so momentum based, you really need to get the power down and get off the corner good. So it was just, and once you got the tires a little warmed up, it was just a snowball effect. You heated the right front up too much, it'd get tighter and tighter. You heated the right rear, it'd get looser and looser. So, feel like it wasn't nearly as last season. I feel like it was a lot more racy. Could make more passes, especially if you save tires. But I guess that's how it goes. I know these trucks are really air dependent, but they're fun to drive a lot of places. But sometimes you get like here, and you're just kind of hoping somebody makes a mistake so you can try to get a run, and hopefully you don't get loose or tied up under them and take you both out.
I mean, it certainly looked like it was a tough one for most of the night for drivers, but for yourself, Mark, still congratulations on third. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, big shout out Brantley over at Harpoon Design, putting together awesome paint schemes and doing the spotting job every night. So I appreciate him. Check him out at harpoondesign.com. Always appreciate my family tuning in these broadcaster races. Also, great support group. Always awesome to have family members watching the races. And then shout out to the league. Had some cautions, but when I was going through the field there, I mean everybody was racing hard, but I didn't see any nobody was racing really dirty or anything. I know I probably ran my mouth a little bit too much trying to get around Nick just because I was getting frustrated because I felt my chance of winning slip away. So I probably was a little harsh when I was trying to get around him. But the whole field was pretty good. It's all pretty good drivers out here. I can't wait for. I think we're off next week. And then we go to Richmond. I think that's the last before the playoffs. So it should be fun. Last shout out to you guys putting on an awesome broadcast. Should be fun to go back and watch. Hopefully, put on a good show coming through the field, and we'll see how it goes in a couple weeks.
It certainly was a great show to watch, and cannot wait to see how you perform at Richmond, Mark. Congratulations, and good luck in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
As we go from third place, we head to that of fourth place. Being our spotlight driver, felt like there was only one way to celebrate his birthday. Bring up Cody Reed with us. Cody, congratulations on a fourth place finish run. We thought at moments maybe you could have ran down our top three, but it just didn't line up properly. But man, how are you feeling? Birthday run and a top 5 finish.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling pretty good. Wish it could have been a little bit better. I'm pretty sure I was the fastest guy, up in the top 10-ish area for quite a while late in the run until the last couple laps. I think John started being a little bit quicker. But I was just I've never pushed myself harder on iRacing than I did on that last run. I had a great pit stop. Had to chase down Josh and Nick for I don't know how many laps, just being a second and a 0.3 back, and just slowly gaining on them. It was just the worst feeling, is just not being able to get their draft. But I finally got there. Then I started chasing the top 3 down by myself. I really just needed John and Danny to get side by side a little bit longer, and I think I could have probably chased them down. But I really wanted a birthday W, but a birthday 4th place was pretty good too.
Definitely. First off, gotta say happy birthday to you, Cody, man. Good run tonight, and definitely a good points night for you. I think this should move you up to the top 5 in points, and only one regular season race left here at Richmond. How you feel entering into it next, or 2 weeks from now?
I'm feeling pretty good. Richmond has been an okay track for me in the past. It's been a track where I've self-spun a couple times, but I usually have a pretty decent result. But other than that, it's just an okay track for me. I look for maybe some stage points, maybe a top 10 finish, but that's about it. But I'm really looking forward to the playoffs, though.
We're excited for the playoffs as well, Cody. Again, congratulations on a top 5 finish. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates, especially Josh and Nick, for getting out of my way on that last run, because I did have quite a bit of speed, and I appreciate that. I'd like to thank you guys for putting on a great show. I'd like to thank the admins for putting the league together and everything. I'd like to thank Ollie's mom for sponsoring the race. And that's about it.
Well, that is going to be the 25 machine of Cody Reed. Enjoy this finish and enjoy the rest of your birthday there.
All right, thank you.
Well, as we get ourselves done with the interviews, what a wild night it was. Had plenty of cautions, a couple of big wrecks, and ultimately a new winner for Season 5. John Forbes getting his first win of Season 5 for himself, and also climbing officially now as the second most winningest driver in the ISRC Truck Series with his 9th career win. Closing in, Zach, for the 11. become the second driver to be in the double digits in the win column.
That is awesome to see. It just shows you how much the history's building up here at ISRC, man. It's cool to see guys entering those zones in their careers, and I mean, it's always cool to look back at those numbers, and those numbers help us prepare for these races. So I'm sure, through these next few weeks, we'll see how it looks for him trends wise, and see where it's going to be setting up for him, because another driver, he's going on a few multiple win streaks there.
That he certainly has done before, and he's going to try to carry that forward as we take a look at our unofficial results here tonight for the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie. Again, big thanks to Ollie's Mom for sponsoring and showing out the beautiful golden retrievers that you have, and if you'd like to go check out what Jack and as well Archie looks like over their Instagram page, Little Pups 15 on Instagram. Winning here tonight, John Forbes in the 11. The 2 of Danny Cochran gets second. Mark Whitley third. Fourth goes to Cody Reed. And the rest of the drivers going to be Nick Crawford in fifth. Sixth is that of Kyle Rochelle. Joshua Kanata, seventh. Christopher Norris down in eighth. Ninth goes to Justin Campbell. And Ryan Ferraro finish out your top 10. Solid finishes for drivers that needed good point stays. Others falling short. And Zach, certainly a tough day for a lot of the drivers deep in the field.
Lots of tough nights for a few guys that, had good runs going in the stage, had the strategy going right, and just didn't end up their way. I mean, I look no farther than Ali Fonseca back in 22nd, at one point battling for leads up front in top 5 positions, and was just quickly involved in an incident there in the middle of the field. You also had Trenton Jump. He had a tough night. So, and then Malik Kuntz finished back in 27th. That's tough for him because he can't lose too many points, cannot fall outside that top 20 with that win, trying to lock him in.
And luckily for the field, like you heard from Mark Whitley, 2 weeks from now will be Richmond for this field, and that will be the last race of the regular season. Getting that extra off week going to allow drivers to put in the practice, put in the time to perfect and get prepared to maximize on your laps, to get those points, and for some, a must-win scenario. As I'll have to get my journal out, start trying to mark down who's in, who's out, what the numbers are looking like. It's going to be a long day in 2 weeks and for Richmond, but we cannot wait for it. But if you'd like to see more amazing racing action this week, well, get yourself prepared. We are heading to Homestead, Miami tomorrow night for the Full Send Racing Series as the Xfinity cars get ready for race number 6 of the season. And as we're closing in to the end of the regular season for other leagues as well, WSSR race number 8, short track racing, North Wilkesboro and the Gen 4 cars. Then Thursday, Stars and Stripes, race number 8, Homestead as well. So we get a little bit of double dose of Homestead this week. Cannot wait for it. And Zach, certainly should be an entertaining week of racing for all these drivers.
It really should be, man. I'm excited with some of these cool tracks we got going up. Homestead, always known to be a place that puts on the shows. So hit the bell notification, the subscribe button, so you can come join us and watch our 3 other amazing leagues that we have going on here at Freaky Fast. As again, like you said, Sam, we're getting ready for the playoffs for these guys. Only 1 race to go here in 2 weeks, and a few other leagues getting right down into it. And I know Full Send and Stars and Stripes, they're getting right in the middle of their regular season. So it's really crucial times and important times for these drivers all to make their runs towards their championships, because at the end of the day, that's what's remembered is who is the champion and the drivers who won the races. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I'm excited to see this week of racing.
Certainly am as well. For tonight, thank you so much to everyone that joined with us to be on Freaky Fast in the chat or just watching and enjoying the show for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. As race number 10 is in the books, the Big Dog Showdown by Jack and Archie goes to the 11 of John Forbes. Congratulations to the 11 machine, able to hold off Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley. And for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining with us, and we will see you tomorrow night. Full Send Racing Series, the Xfinity cars are ready to give you some of the best racing throughout the week, and that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.